Okay, today? Oh, okay.
Everybody ready?
No, not yet. Give me a minute.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the July 13th, 2023 Code Enforcement Board meeting. Meeting will now come to order. May we have a roll call, Madam Secretary?
Just a moment. Yes. Mr. Harrington?
Here.
Ms. Marsh?
Here.
Ms. Roby?
Here.
Mr. Mahegan?
Here.
And Madam Chair?
Here.
And Mrs. Himes is absent.
She is. Motion to excuse Ms. Himes.
Motion.
Motion from Ms. Roby, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor, say aye.
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 Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes? Any additions or corrections? Motion to approve? That was Ms. Roby. Second? Second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. You're going to have to just speak up because you have my line of sight.
I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
wasn't here for that meeting.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
I'll
In
abstain.
general, I don't want to miss you because you're not in my line of sight. So if you just make sure you get
I
my
can sit out
attention.
there. You'd see me.
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I can see you out there. Okay. Any disclosure of ex parte communication?
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay. All right. Next order of business is nominations for president and vice president. I'm going to open the nomination for president.
I nominate you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay. Ms. Roby and Mr. Harrington, and so that closes the nominations, and we can vote on that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. I appreciate that confidence, if that's what it is. All right, now, let's open the nominations for vice president.
We'll go with Ms. Himes. I'll make.
She's not here. Can we still do that even if she's not here?
Yes.
Yes, we may. Okay, good. All right.
But first, do you feel that she will accept if she is?
Yes, I do, but I'm not, I mean, we haven't had the discussion, so I don't, you know.
He has the other 28 times.
True. Okay, that's kind of what I'm basing it on. Okay, so a motion to nominate Ms. Himes for Ms. Roby, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nominations closed. Those, motion to elect Ms. Himes as vice chair. Motion?
So moved.
Didn't we just make that?
No, we just nominated. We just opened and closed nominated.
I'll make the motion that we go.
Okay, Mr. Harrington, second.
Second.
Ms. Roby, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. All right, got that done. Do we have announcements, Madam Secretary?
Yes, ma'am. Page 2,
Mm-hmm.
Lean Review 2. I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry, Lean Review 1.
Which?
Lean Review 1
Okay.
will be via Zoom.
Okay.
Okay.
Are they ready for that? We're going right to that.
They are here.
Okay.
Page 6. Case number 10. I'm sorry.
Page 6.
I'm sorry. Page 5, I'm sorry.
Page 5. Case 10.
Is in compliance
Okay.
as of 6/29.
Okay.
Okay. And on page 6, case number 14, there's an attorney present.
Okay.
Page 7,
Okay. Page 7.
case number 17, it's via Zoom.
Okay.
Page 8. Case number 22 is in compliance. 7/12/23. Also on page 8. Sorry. Case number 23 is also in compliance as of 7/10/23. Page number 9. Case 26. I'm sorry, Tony.
Case 26, well, on page 9.
Cancel that. Those are my announcements.
Okay, thank you very much.
That.
Okay. Would the code officers please stand up and be sworn in?
You raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, everyone, here's our procedure. We will be calling cases by number and for the most part in order as they are listed on the agenda. If there are any attorneys present that must be in court, we will hear those cases first. Likewise, if there are police officers that are testifying that must get back to their jobs, we'll hear those cases. When your case is called, please come forward and be sworn in. State your name and address for the record. If you're not the owner of the property, please state your relationship to the owner of the property. Our proceedings are recorded, so please speak directly into the mic. The board hears from the code officers first, and then you'll be given the opportunity to respond. Please direct all responses to the board. You can talk to the code officers outside the room if you need more information, more detailed information, but conversations aren't going to happen except for general questions. Witnesses may testify sometimes using the same procedures. Okay. If we're not moving along quickly enough, we'll have a break at 11 o'clock. We'll start with our lien reviews, and then we're going to go to case, what was it?
At 26.
26, which is a new case because someone has something important at the courthouse. Do you have to be, sir, do you have to be?
I don't actually have court today, but since I am on the clock, the client would appreciate me getting out of here.
Okay, what case is yours?
14.
Okay, so we'll hear 26 and then 14 after we do the lien reviews.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. I forgot to announce, Sergeant Renninger is covering for Sergeant Bowers.
Okay, good morning. Thank you. Okay, all right, so let's start with lien review number 1. This is CEB 09-22-213, 115 Park Avenue. Respondent present?
It's fine.
Oh, this is a Zoom one, right, okay. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
You'll have to be sworn in.
Yes, absolutely.
Will you say your name, please?
Matthew Radich.
And your, will you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And your affiliation to the case?
I am the owner of Radpad Rentals, which owns 115 Park Avenue at the current moment. That's a LLC in Florida.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
The agenda listed Mr. Weaver. The lien review has Mr. Raditz.
Right. They,
He's the new owner.
wasn't Mr. Weaver, and wasn't the whole thing in probate? Because Mr. Weaver was deceased, right? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Madam Chair, the lien review lists the style of the case, the original case, so that's what we're looking at. The requester is the current owner.
All right.
Is that correct, Madam?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Okay, why are you requesting this lien review?
So requesting this lien review, the violation was with the previous owner, and it was a little bit outside of our control. When we purchased the property, they really didn't tell us about the existing violations till closing day, and we did get. Once we did close on the property, we worked hard and remedied the violations to bring it into compliance as soon as we could.
Let me
And
ask
so-
you a question. When did you purchase the property?
The purchase date should have been January 28th, 2023.
And it was in compliance in March of 2023, correct?
It was, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, all right, okay, thank you. We'll hear from the city now. Good morning.
Good morning, Inspector Bostwick, credentials on file. Pretty much, Mr. Radish is correct. He purchased the property on January 28th. The property came into compliance on March the 21st. He painted the building, fixed the exterior wall damage, did the landscaping. Staff request will lower the fines to $1,000 for administrative fees.
Anything from the board? Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to reduce the amount of lien to $1,000, subject to being paid within 30 days, or the fine will revert to the original amount. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Roby, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Marsh, all in favor say aye. Like sign opposed, motion carries. So you need to get with our secretary, our
I'll
board
contact you.
secretary, and get that fine paid, that 1,000, and we thank you for fixing up the property. Okay,
Absolutely.
all right. See, let's go to lien review number 2. That is CB 03-20-48, 961 859, Dr. Mary McLeod, Bethune Boulevard. Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Victor Peralta,
Okay.
5411 Hutchinson Street, Portland, Florida.
What is your address, sir?
5411
5411 what?
Hutchinson Street.
That's his address.
Okay, how about the town? Did you hear that? The town? You live here?
Portland.
Port Orange?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. What would you like to tell us? Why are you asking for a review of this lien?
Oh, because last meeting was like in the pandemic, so
That was the last time we had a meeting about this case?
yeah, like and I think I forgot to come in and then the letter, I never received a letter. The other letters were going to like the wrong address. And the only way I found out was because I went to do something to the building and they told me they had a lien. Then I come to the city and they gave me a whole bunch of letters.
You know, you're supposed to change we can only go, the city can only go by the address that you have listed. So when you changed your address, they had no way of knowing that.
I told they changed it because when that
Told who?
When I went in the downstairs
Uh-huh.
to do like a permit and stuff,
When was
I-
that?
like in 2019. Yeah, so I applied for the city license.
Well,
and
it needs to
everything.
be changed at the courthouse, because
Oh,
that's the official address of where you want notification sent and where you live.
Ma'am, actually, it's with the property appraiser.
Sorry,
Have to
property
collect
appraiser.
taxes.
Sorry, yeah, okay. All right. All right. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Denzel Sykes, Code Compliance Manager. I'm filling in for Mark Jones. He's off today. This case started in 2019, and as you stated, the letter was sent out properly. Excuse me. It was returned undeliverable and unable to forward. Then we ended up posting the property, and it did come into compliance once the respondent was made aware of it. He took it, but by that time, it maxed out. The fine had maxed out, so the city is recommending that we go ahead and reduce it down to $7,500.
When did the property get brought into compliance?
February of this year.
And they were notified in 2019 that there were issues? Do we have pictures of this?
I did not see any.
Well, tell me what the issues were why this was cited.
It was it's a two-story brick building, apartments, and they had a fire. And that's what we cited for the fire, and that was most of the damage, as well as he needed to obtain a BTR for the property, for the apartments.
Did they get the BTR?
Yes.
yeah.
So I'm assuming it's all
Oh,
in
yeah.
compliance now and rented out, and
Yes, everything's
how
fine.
many units are in it?
6,
6. How many units were affected by the fire?
1,
Did you continue to rent?
yeah,
Rent in that unit, or you mean?
Oh,
And the other units, the ones that weren't affected,
yeah.
you continued to rent? When did you get the BTR?
I was 2019. Yeah. But the last time I come to the meeting was because it was a window.
Yeah,
they-
COVID is becoming a tired excuse for a 4-year problem, so we need to move past that, in my opinion. What did you do for those 4 years that there was a burnt-out unit?
No, the unit was fixed
When was the unit fixed?
in 2019. But the guy, the contractor guy, he don't pull out he don't close the permit. So when they let me know about when they got all the letters back, that's when they told me that the permit was not closed. So he come in and closed the case. But it was fixed 2019.
It says that the violations were corrected 1/23/20.
Mm,
That's when somebody came out and put you in compliance,
Yeah.
correct?
yeah.
Still would have been maxed out. with
So the fine still would have been maxed out, even though it was corrected? Okay. Any questions, other questions from the board? Is there anything you'd like to say? The city is just standing by I don't understand
Yeah, you don't ever go to your property over there to see the post that it was posted?
And I never see posts over there. Nobody. Because I have some, we go all the time in there. There was nothing posted there.
May I inquire?
Go ahead.
Madam Chair. Sir, who was handling your property management? Was it you or someone else?
It was me and my brother.
Okay.
Mhm.
I don't have anything else.
What's the board's feeling? The city said that, is requesting to reduce the fine to $7,500. What's the board's feeling? Any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm not understanding. So you got it fixed directly after the fire,
Yeah.
but you could not come into compliance because you had an open permit. Is that what happened?
No, he's supposed to close the case, the guy that do the fixing, but he don't close it. And I come in to one meeting. Well, then the last meeting was in the pandemic, so I forgot, I think, to come in. So then after that, I don't receive the letter when I went and do something to the building, and they told me they have a lien.
Have you changed your mailing address for this
Yeah.
property? So it's going to Port Orange now in case
Yeah.
there's any other?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand, something I'd like to know is why there weren't pictures of this?
Well,
Yeah, Mike's not,
Well, no, he's,
That's all the letter that was going
yeah,
to
the case started with
to the lab.
Inspector Fitzgerald, and then Inspector Jones took over, and he left on emergency, so that's probably why the picture is not there.
okay,
But,
$500 significant.
give me.
it is.
Take the suggestion for code enforcement.
Okay, Mr. Harrington has made a motion to reduce the amount of the lien to $7,500, subject to being paid within 30 days or fine will revert to the original amount. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay, second, Mr. Mohegan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. So it's been reduced, and you need to see the board secretary at some point, and so you know what the procedure is after, so you get paid within 30 days, okay?
You can always call.
Right here. Yeah, Brenda said right. All right, now, we have two cases we're going to do first. They're both new cases. New cases are pretty simple. You're either in compliance or not in compliance. That's all. We're not fining anybody. We're just saying whether you're in compliance or not in compliance, and giving you a certain amount of time then to come into compliance, depending on your situation. So, let's go to case number
26.
26. I think those people have to be someplace by 10, so. Are they here?
They're open.
Come on. Come on up. Case 26. Good morning. State your
morning.
name and address for the record.
Jessica Orjuela, address 1005 Essex Road.
Okay, and?
Emerson Oriana.
Okay. And your address is the same?
Yes.
Okay, will you both be testifying?
Yes.
Okay, so be sworn in, please.
Will you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll hear from Code Enforcement Officer first,
Okay.
and then you'll get a chance. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Inspector Roosevelt Butler, credentials on file with the City of Daytona Beach. As it pertains to 1005 Essex Road, this is a citizen complaint case. I conducted a site inspection on April the 6th, 2023, where it was determined the property had the following violations: outdoor storage and parking. A first notice was received on April the 18th, 2023. April the 28th, 2020, 3, the violation was to be in compliance. Last date of reinspection was June 26, 2023. Result of my reinspection was non-compliance. I've had contact with the property owner. Staff requests non-compliance, compliance next cutoff.
Okay. These are current, or the June pictures, the end of June?
Yes, ma'am, they're current.
Okay. What would you like to tell us?
We actually fixed the situation. That car that's in the picture, like over by the mailbox, the silver car, it's actually no longer there. They were just visiting, and they parked there because I was at work. And then we're currently in a lawsuit for that F-250 that's there, but we had to pull it out of Rectory, and we don't really have anywhere else to put it, and that's the only place that the tow truck could fit to put it in. And at the time, I'm trying to get it resolved so that we can get it off the property.
I get it.
But, I mean, we were in an accident and
Okay.
in a lawsuit now for it because there was issues.
All right. We have, as a board, we don't have control over, your lawsuit or anything like that.
Oh, no, I understand.
And if the truck is still there, it looks like it's a violation. You may have to have it moved into storage someplace. I'm not here to give you advice.
I understand.
But it does look as though you're not in compliance yet
Okay,
because the truck is still there.
I understand.
Okay. Any comments from the board? Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance or respondent come into compliance by the next cutoff date, which is 8/2/2023, or be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion? Motion, Ms. Roby, second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Marsh. All in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to go to case 14, which is that an old case? Yes.
Yes, it is.
That's what we call it, an old case.
Very old.
Okay. Bonnie Boudreau Keating. Good morning.
Morning.
All right, you don't, sir. State your name and address for the record. You don't need to be sworn in.
Right. I'm Tanner Andrews. I'm here for Ms. Keating.
Okay. Okay. All right, good morning, Ms. Kirk.
Morning.
What would you like to tell us?
Okay, Sarah Kirk, inspector with the city. My credentials are on file. Since the last hearing, there hasn't been any progress because, just a refresher, there is a project to vacate the right-of-way behind this property. So until that happens, Ms. Keating cannot obtain a permit in order to close the case into compliance. So we're asking to amend to October, as it's going to be a lengthy process.
What is the process?
Vacating the right-of-way, so that's going to...
Who has the right-of-way?
It's the city's right-of-way, so the city is going under, it's a project, they're going under a lot of different reviews to vacate this right-of-way. It's called the
So
Fifth
does
Street.
that go to the Board of Adjustments? Where does that eventually go, or is that all done administratively?
No, eventually that will go to the commission.
This will go to the commission?
Yes. So, yeah, it will be a timely process, proving the vacation of a right-of-way.
Yeah.
And it's not the area I do, so if Mr.
Well, I'm going to.
No, no,
I'm gonna-
what he
I'm
what he
gonna
told
ask-
you,
Andrews.
I'm going to ask him to respond
no,
in a minute.
what he told you is entirely correct.
Okay. That's fine. What would you like to tell us?
I am in agreement with the code enforcement that we need to roll it to October and that it's in the process of vacating the right-of-way, and that, yes, we understand that it's a lengthy process, but you do what you can as fast as the city can do it.
So my question is, what kind of right of way? I mean, it's a city right of way, but how big is it? Why is it there?
It's a 50-foot right-of-way from back when this thing was platted. I think, it looks like a 50s type plat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and back in the day, they used to put in a lot of imaginary streets.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Okay.
This was one of those.
Okay.
By the time it got developed, I think like the early 60s, don't hold me to that. But
yeah,
sometime,
that's fine. I mean,
anyway, when the developer came in, he put chain link fence right down the middle of this fictitious street, and everybody assumed that that fence was where the properties went to, because nobody could see the fictitious street. And now the city is trying to clean this up, and as you recall, and as you heard, it takes time.
right.
The title companies issued the paper without doing any surveys?
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure that a title company would insist on a survey. And when I've looked at the surveys do show that this is there. But, you and I, when we're dealing in properties, we know what we're looking for on a survey. And when a title company does it, they're just looking to see, okay, there's nothing encroaching that could ripen into a problem with this property. They aren't looking and saying this property doesn't include the right-of-way. They're looking, they're seeing, okay, there's a property, there's no interference.
Right.
And so they issue the policy.
Yes, but the owner would know where the property line is, because when it's surveyed, they go and they mark it. So they would have known that that was a,
You would think so, perhaps, but typically typically owners aren't that sophisticated, and when you get a survey that's really just a little, there's a spike or something in the ground with a piece of brightly colored fluorescent tape an inch long on it that's promptly lost the first time the grass is cut. Sometimes they just don't get it, or they aren't looking at that, which is not very prominent, so much as, well, there's this chain link fence that's been here since time immemorial.
So, I still don't understand. There's a white fence up there now, not chain link.
Well, there's chain link fence. The white fence is just on this side of the chain link. The chain.
Survey for that fence, and why wasn't it caught then?
I don't know. It's been there a while, and I don't even know that they did a survey for it. They may have just looked and seen this is where the property must end because here's this existing fence.
And is the city's gain gonna give this property to Miss Keating, and then she's gonna pay the taxes on it? Is that where we're headed?
I would assume so. I mean, the city is basically vacating this disused right-of-way, and they aren't ever planning to build a street or take up the chain link fence. So we might as well make this all productive property.
My issue is the case underneath this is the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's worse than that, actually. If you go over there, which I did and which Ms. Kirk did, you can look up and down and you'll see that this fictitious street runs, I don't know, just between real cross streets. There's this fictitious street and this chain link fence that runs down the middle of it. And every property on the street where this is, and every property on the next street that would back up to this, every property.
So this is the back wall we're talking about, not the side. I thought it was the side.
No, this is the back. This is the back.
Yeah.
And it goes, like I say, many houses. Now, as far as I know, we don't have code enforcement cases for every house on this street yet.
But we could, is that correct? How does the city feel about that?
We could. This was a complaint case for accessory structures on both this case and the other right after it, for accessory
Let's talk
structures
about this case.
that were unpermitted. So after I noticed the owner, that's when they went down to, they asked the city if they could vacate the right-of-way, and the city agreed.
So the city then has agreed, well.
They're in the process of
who
doing
agreed
it.
to it?
City commission ultimately has to
Well, they
agree to
haven't
it.
yet.
Well,
but
the
they're
engineering
considering
department.
agreeing to it.
Engineering department, there's a bunch of sign-offs if you'd like to look at this right here.
No,
Okay.
you tell me there.
So that the city has agreed to vacate the right-of-way, which is going to give the property owners, more room. So it's going to change the survey.
Okay, so is the entire right-of-way going to be vacated? In other words, they're not going to vacate just this one piece?
No, the entire right-of-way, and there's also an easement that's going to remain. So there's a right-of-way and an easement, a utility easement. Utility easement will remain, so.
Right.
Well, this accessory is.
Why is it taking so long?
Well, it always takes a while
No,
because
no.
you have it has to go through engineering, it has to go through
Okay.
several layers of administration, and then it goes to the city commission for, I assume, the usual 2 readings. So
it's going to be 2 readings. Is it scheduled to be read yet, do you know?
oh, no, that we are currently, I spoke with Ms. Kirk yesterday, I think it was. We're currently waiting for a utility company sign off and a couple other things before it can get out of engineering, and then I'm not sure the exact path.
Good morning, Mr. Jackson. What would you like to say?
Just a little clarification. Just wanted to remind the board that the violation here is that it's an unpermitted shed.
Right.
And so it's not really necessarily the issue of the right-of-way, but the right-of-way will aid in moving towards compliance. And so until that vacation occurs, we're not able to move forward and grant them permits so that they can be permitted. So it's a different circumstance at each one of these properties. So that will probably answer why we're not up and down the street, because they're on the vacation issue. That's a whole separate issue from what this violation is, which is
Right.
the,
Will this still be a violation? Will it still be unpermitted once?
It will still be unpermitted once we have the right-of-way vacated. However, once the right-of-way is vacated, they will be able to get the permit, and that will close the violation.
Okay.
What concerns me here, I'm straying a little bit, but we rely on evidence, and what during your testimony, you've at least implied that the title insurance companies are a little careless, the surveyor companies are a little, what are we supposed to go on?
No, I'm saying that they are each doing their jobs correctly, as far as I can tell. The survey I've looked at surveys and I've looked at the dirt, and I agree that the survey looks correct.
I guess the point that I was making, Mr. Arrington, if I may, is that that's not really relevant to this violation. The violation itself is just that
I understand, I'm just asking, said I was
So
a
we
little
could
astray.
technically fine her for the
Right.
violation.
Today.
That's what we're supposed to
Well,
be doing today.
Well, I would say you couldn't, because it's relying upon us being able to issue, and at this stage, we're not able to issue their ability to remedy the violation. So
When the accessory buildings were built there in the spaces.
that supports the non-compliance. So indeed, there is a non-compliance, which I think we've agreed to.
Because they
from the
built it
beginning.
originally without a permit.
Exactly. So they're in non-compliance, but the ability to fine them would be based upon their efforts to comply, and their efforts to comply is being hindered by this necessity right now, as far as something that's been, a decision that's been made well beyond my grade.
I personally can live with this, but I certainly have some real questions about professionalism in this real estate industry.
Well, including the owners.
The owners, it seems to me you better hire a darn good lawyer anytime you deal with real property in the state of Florida.
Well, that's a separate,
It
might be
is.
separate, but
But that's what the
that's what
problem
you're
with this case is.
right, well.
It's not
what
a
I'm-
simple, you have an unpermitted structure on your property. It's not simple.
Right, every
Right.
property along there, I assume, was correctly surveyed, and the surveys presumably showed where the actual right-of-way was, but, you know, it's human nature to look at the bigger, easier-to-see thing, and when I'm looking at a little stake in the ground
Yeah,
with a,
Or
by
it's
now,
easier to build where you wanna build and just
right.
go about.
you know, if I'm looking and I see, or don't see that, and I see what looks like an obvious boundary.
I'll
So,
make a motion to take the city's recommendation and amend till October meeting.
second.
We have a motion from Ms. Roby and a second from Mr. Harrington to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 10/4/23 to come into compliance or be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day until compliance is achieved. All in favor say aye. Like sign opposed.
could you read that,
Okay.
or could you read that date again?
10/4/2023.
Okay, thanks. And that's all I have
So-
today.
Mr. Andrews, I would suggest that if things don't move as quickly as you expect, you might want to appear before then, and be able to demonstrate you may need additional time.
Well,
I know these things take a long time sometimes.
You know, sometimes things take a long time because they're not priorities. They don't take a long time because, you know, that's just an excuse not to get anything done. If it was a priority, it would get done. So I would like to see the city make it a priority
well,
to get this finished.
obviously, I don't have a lot of pull with the
Correct.
city, but
Correct.
I'm hoping that she will be
Right.
able to urge.
So this case needs to move along. And the city,
Sooner
the city needs
sooner I
to get
close
to
the
it.
file, the happier I am.
Okay.
But that's on all my files.
All right, so we had a vote, and the vote was 4-1 in favor of the October cutoff date. Okay, thank you. All right, now we're going to go back to our continued cases, or old cases as we call them. We're going to start with number 1. That would be CEB 05-23-73, Sarah Flannery. Respondent present? Okay. Good morning again, Mr. Butler.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. As pertains to 1356 Continental Drive, since last month, court proceedings, I've had contact with the owner. Actually, I haven't spoken to him as of last month, and no progress. Staff requests a fine of $100 a day to a maximum of $10,000. And last time he was here, he spoke about he was ready for reinspection. Hold that right there. Could you zoom that in? Go back. And we spoke about the car in the backyard. That's that vehicle right there. It's still there.
All right, Chair will entertain a motion to, is there any question from anybody?
He keeps saying he, but it says Sarah, so.
Well, the son,
Elmer is
the
son.
son was here representing,
Right.
yes.
Elmer was his son, and he was here.
Yes.
Okay. But nothing's happened.
Nope.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to impose a fine of $100 per day against the respondent effective today and continue until compliance is achieved or reaches a maximum of $10,000. Such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion, Ms. Roby, second, Mr. Harrington, was that right?
Ms. Marsh.
Ms. Marsh, sorry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. All right, case number 2. CEB 05-22-105 South Wild Olive LLC. Mr. Yates, good morning.
Good morning. Inspector Kevin Yates, Neighborhood Services. My credentials are on file. Since the last hearing, we've had contact in progress. The property did have a final inspection. However, there were a few issues. So they did fail that, but they're correcting the issues now. So I would like to amend the August hearing to allow the work to complete.
August, that's, okay, it's July, so that's just the next one. What is it that's not up to snuff right now?
The filler that they used behind the breaker box is not to code, so they're going to have to change that out. I believe they were using electrical tape, and they need to use a metal panel.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Chair will entertain a motion to amend previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 8/2 to come into compliance and be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration and fine of up to $1,000 per day. Motion, Ms. Roby, second.
I'll second it.
Second, Mr. Mohegan. All in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Case number 3, CEB 05-23-71, Charlotte A. and Mary M. Stewart. Respondent present. I just make a note the respondent was not present in case number 2 either. Respondent not present in case number 3. Okay, so good morning, Mr. Klieg.
Good morning, ma'am. Since the last hearing, I had no contact with the owners. No progress has been made. The city's recommending a $200 a day fine capped to $10,000.
Terrible. This is one of these pictures tell the story, I think. No contact, no progress. Everybody's been notified.
Yes, ma'am.
Adequately.
Property was posted, yes, ma'am.
Yep. 200 per day up.
It's capped to 10,000.
So this is homeowner?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. People actually live there?
No, I don't think so. No, it's abandoned.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to impose a fine of any comments from the board before we go on? Entertain a motion to impose a fine of $200 per day against the respondent effective today and continue until compliance is achieved or reaches a maximum of $10,000. Motion, Ms. Roby, second.
Second.
Okay, second, Mr. Mohegan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay, next case is yours too, Mr. Klieg.
Yes, ma'am.
CEB 06-23-80. Respondent present. Respondent is not present.
Yes, ma'am. Since the last hearing, no contact has been made with the owner. It is occupied, no progress. City's recommending a $200 a day fine capped to $10,000.
So does he live there?
Yeah.
Questions from the board?
Gotta be a sanitary condition on that.
Yeah, look at these, let's look at these pictures and see if there's anything else we want to do. Terrible.
I can't find them, I mean, it's just gonna make the fine get there quicker, so.
It's not going to fix the problem, right? Are there any unsanitary conditions there?
Not that I noticed.
Got water and electric still going in
Yes.
the house.
Okay. Any comments from the board? Chair will entertain a motion to impose a fine of $200 per day against the respondent effective today and continue until compliance is achieved or reaches a maximum of $10,000. Motion, Ms. Roby, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Marsh, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Case number 5, CEV, I guess people don't think they need to come and respond, huh? Usually not a good idea, so all of you are here, have a better chance of being heard than the ones that choose not to show up. Case number 5, CEB 06-23-81, Spinoza Britt et al. Not here. Did they show up the last time?
Yes. And I believe she's in the hospital right now, so.
Dolores
Yes, ma'am.
or Maisie?
Dolores.
Okay. Have you had contact?
Yes, ma'am. Since last hearing, contact was made. The place is occupied, of course. And he did get a permit that is under review on June 28th of 2023. So he's making progress.
Who is it that lives there? Is this a rental property?
No, that's, he owns a home.
So it's homeowner?
Yes, ma'am.
And all those people live there, or they just own it?
They were, according to him, they were homeowners, him and his wife and his mother-in-law, I believe it is.
So your recommendation is to?
Amend to next cutoff for permit should be issued by then.
Okay. Well, progress is progress.
Yes, ma'am.
We like that. Okay. Any comments? Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to amend previous order of non-compliance and allow respondent until 8/2/2023 to come into compliance and be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion? Motion, Ms. Roby, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Mahegan. All in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed. Motion carries. All right. Is Mr. Jones here? No, Mr. Jones is absent. So, Mr. Sykes. This is for case number it's case number 6, CB 02-23-26. Aaron Agert Zutage. Hasn't been here the last 4 times, right? That we've heard the case?
Correct.
Okay.
Since the last hearing, there's been no contact from the owner or the architect. And also they received Board of Adjustment approval on June 15th, 2023 with conditions. So they have to remove the fence that's located on the property and cut out about 63 feet of driveway and gravel and remove the enclosed deck. Staff is requesting to amend to the next cutoff.
All right, so you've had no contact with them, or Mr. Jones has had no contact with them.
Correct.
They got approval with some conditions from the BOA.
Correct.
Have they started working on those? And that was in June. Have they started working on those? Do you know?
I don't know if they start working, but I know that no permit has been pulled. So if they are working, they're working without permits, but we can check on that.
Okay. Questions from the board? I mean, this has been going on for a year. They got to the BOA, which is good. Did they actually did they show up at the Board of Adjustment meeting? Do we know? Do we have minutes from the Board of Adjustment meeting?
Well, we don't.
Madam Chair, if I may, it appears that a variance was granted, so.
Okay. Okay, a variance was granted with conditions.
That's correct.
And they haven't started working on those conditions.
Right, and so I think the conclusion of staff is allowing them just a reasonable time to comply, so at least 30 days.
All right.
So
I mean,
the
they've been here a lot of times. They've been called up.
Variance gave them permission to tear down some of what they put up without a permit.
Correct.
And then gave them the opportunity to apply for a permit to continue some other things. Is that basically those two?
Yes.
Well, I don't see what choice we have.
I know, well, if we follow procedure, but I don't, if there's nothing done, no permits applied for, I think
We'll get
next time we need to take this more seriously. It's ridiculous, you know? I'm not that we're not taking it seriously, but we may need to move this along, especially when the respondent has shown no interest in coming, telling us what he's doing. So Chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 8/2/2023 to come into compliance and be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion?
Second.
Motion, Ms. Roby, second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. All right, we have a Zoom call, case number 7, CEB 05-23-69, Grady Lee Meeks. Mr. Meeks, available?
No, 17 is Zoom.
Oh, I'm sorry, 17. Well, that's good. Okay, so this is not a Zoom call. That was my error. Let me write down 17 so I don't forget that. I got that one. All right, I'm making stuff up. Okay, all right.
Last meeting, he was Zoom last.
He was Zoom. That's what my note was. It was Zoom last time. Okay. Okay. Mr. Sykes, what would you like to tell us?
Okay, since last hearing, there has been contact with the owner. The unit remains unoccupied. A permit was issued July 5th of 2023. Staff recommends amendment to the September cutoff.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until August 2nd, 2023 to come into compliance.
September.
So I'm sorry.
9/6.
Oh,
Yes.
9/6?
Yes.
Okay. Until September 6th, 2023 to come into compliance, we return to a subsequent meeting for consideration or fine of up to $1,000 per day. So compliances, okay, Ms. Roby made the motion.
Second.
Second, Ms. Marsh. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Case number 8, CEB 06-23-76, Merrill Reed Hayes. Estate. Now, someone last time called Louise showed up. Is Louise here? Don't know who she was. Okay, what's going on here?
Since the last hearing, there has been contact. The property remains occupied. There's been no progress. Staff recommends $100 a day with a cap of $15,000.
Oh, Louise is the person that lives there, but she's not necessarily part of the estate. Is that correct?
She was
Correct.
sister-in-law of the deceased. Yeah.
She's the sister-in-law of the deceased. Do we know what the status of the estate is at this point?
I do not.
Okay.
I think the last time she was here, she said something about going to probate. She had to wait for probate. That's all I.
Yeah, I don't think it was that clear, and especially since there's been no contact, no progress. What are we recommending?
$100 a day with a cap of 15.
Because she's not the owner of the house, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions from the board or discussion? I mean, this looks, are these conditions safe?
Yeah, they're safe. It's just more appearance standards.
Okay. I think there was a police complaint. Do we know what that was from the last time somebody talked about a police complaint?
I do not.
You know, there were other cases, my comment is this, there were other cases that looked similar that we recommended $200 per day. So I may be, and especially since nobody seems, and maybe the estate will get busy if we give them a little more incentive. So I'm going to, I'm thinking of a little bit more of a fine, like up to 150. Does anybody want to make that motion, or does anybody want to talk about it?
Go to 200.
You want to go to 200?
Yes, ma'am.
Want to make that motion?
Sure will.
Okay. Ms. Rodriguez made a motion to impose a fine of $200 per day against the respondent effective today and continue until compliance is achieved or reaches the maximum of $15,000. Do we have a second? Second, Ms. Roby. All in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay. Case number 9. CEB, thank you, Mr. Sykes. CEB 0623-78, Georgiana Karagianis, trustee. Okay. Last time they were here. Okay, good morning, Mr. Stenson.
Good morning. Good morning, John Stenson, Code Inspector. My qualifications are on file. Since the last hearing, I have been in contact with this property owner. Our last conversation was yesterday, and currently they are waiting for the fence company to pull the permits and install a fence, and they are 3 to 4 weeks out from accomplishing this. I'd like to amend this case to the next cutoff.
So they have a company that is going to pull a permit, right?
Yes.
Did you say you had the name of the company?
No, I did not.
Okay.
You think August is enough time? 3 to 4 weeks out?
Yes, because they're not doing the entire fence, it's just a slow section.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
No.
Okay. Chair will entertain motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until August 2nd to come into compliance, be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day until compliance is achieved. Such a motion? Motion, Ms. Roby, second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Marsh. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. I gotta know. All right. Did we vote? We voted all in favor, say, okay, good. Let's see. All right, we're going to go, I just got handed a note, case number 16. We're gonna jump to that case because we have an interpreter here for that case. And that is case number 16.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, how are you?
And I remember you were here last time, right?
Right.
Okay. State your name and address for the record, please. She knows.
Mi nombre es Emerita Lisette Velázquez. Mi dirección.
My name is Emerita Lisette Velázquez. My address.
646 Marco Street, Daytona Beach, 32114.
Yeah, Madam Chair, perhaps we should swear the interpreter first.
Okay, let's,
Then we
yeah,
swear the-
okay, we're gonna swear the interpreter first, so if you would state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Elsa Sebastian.
You speak into the mic, please, hon. Thank you.
You can pull it down as well.
Yes, my name is Elsa Sebastio. I'm a Spanish interpreter.
And your address?
3013 South Atlantic Avenue,
Okay,
Daytona Beach Shores.
okay, please be sworn in.
You're gonna give her a mic first.
There you go, you get your own mic.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the interpretation you will give in this hearing will be a true interpretation from English to Spanish and Spanish to English, question asked and answers given, and you will make a true translation into English of any writing which is required by you to decipher or translate to the best of your ability?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to,
I don't think we completed swearing.
did you get sworn in?
No,
Did
ma'am.
your,
Hasn't been sworn in.
Will you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Sí, verdad.
Yes, the truth.
all right. We're going to hear from Ms. Kirk first, and then we'll give you a chance to respond. All right, Ms. Kirk, good morning.
Morning.
again.
Since the last hearing, there has been progress and there has been contact with Ms. Velasquez. We would like to ask to amend to the next cutoff for compliance.
Okay, and now I remember from the last time that the egress was ordered to be fixed within 24 hours.
Yes, so that was corrected.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. What else is left to be done?
There is an application that was put in for the shed, and most of the outside storage has been removed. The vehicle is no longer inoperable, but it needs to be parked in a different spot, which I am working on that with Ms. Velasquez. So we're getting very close to compliance. So I feel by the next cutoff, we should hopefully be in compliance with the permit if that's finalized at that time.
Any questions from the board? Well, let me give, are you Ms. Velasquez too? Is that your name?
Ese es su nombre, la señora Velázquez.
Yeah. What would you like to tell us?
¿Qué quisiera decirnos?
Thank you for working on these things.
Gracias por trabajar en estas cosas.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias a la inspectora por ayudarme. Le estoy obedeciendo en todo lo que me está pidiendo hacer.
Thank you very much, the inspector. I'm trying to do everything that she has told me to do.
Okay,
Y yo le dije a ella que mi camioneta Dodge Ram, todavía estoy, porque no tengo dinero para arreglarlo. Voy a esperar que venga mi mami para que me preste dinero para arreglarla. Y tengo que parquearla donde enfrente, como me dijo la inspectora Sara.
About the Dodge Ram, I don't have the money to fix it. I'm waiting for my mom to come and lend me some money, but I'm going to park it across the street like Inspector Sara told me.
Okay. What's across the street,
¿Qué es lo que
Ms.
hay
Kirk,
enfrente de
where she can
de
park
la-
it?
de la
There
casa?
is no parking or driveway,
Right.
so I was going to ask her to park it in the right of way.
En la entrada
Okay.
de la casa.
So,
Le pidió
but
que
I'm glad we have an
But
interpreter.
it doesn't work,
contenta que estén con-
right?
Well, that's what I was just about to say.
can't
I
leave
was
it
under the
for-
impression that it did, but,
Okay.
you know, there is a language barrier, so now I understand it didn't. So I'm glad we're clear on that with the interpreter.
Okay, this is an issue that needs to be addressed with the inoperable vehicle, not just moving it, but getting it operable.
Pero tiene que ser lo que funcione.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So the city has recommended another month for you to get
Para que usted
the rest of this straightened out.
puede conseguir arreglar el resto.
Okay.
Okay, so does the board have any questions?
La Junta tiene
None.
alguna pregunta.
All right.
Bien.
Chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until August 2nd, 2023 to come into compliance
23 para poder cumplir.
or be returned to a subsequent meeting
Regrese a otra
for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day.
de $1,000 por día.
Such a motion?
Se hace esta moción.
Motion, Ms. Roby, second, that wasn't Ms. Roby, that was Ms. Marsh. Second, Mr. Harrington, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries.
Se hace
Okay, so you have some time to finish this up,
para
okay?
finalizar.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Está bien, muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Gracias, thank you.
All right, so let's see. We did that.
Case
We did
11.
that. I think we're,
We started case.
Number 11.
okay, we'll go back to case 11. This is, normally we don't have this much movement in cases, but there have been some issues for people that either need to be somewhere else, like a court date, or have other things going on, or attorneys, or in this case, the city was paying an interpreter to be here. So that's why the cases have gotten jumbled up. We normally try and go through it, bing, 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 you know, one at a time, one right after the other. But we do make exceptions, and it just seems like this month there are a lot. Case number 11, that's on page 5. CEB 06-23-82. David Ayers Irrevocable Trust.
That's compliance 712.
Excellent. Okay, case number 12, CB 06-23-84, Sean Skian. Yay, you're here.
Madam Chair.
Respondent is present.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Sean Scan, 932 North Peninsula Drive, Daytona Beach.
So it's Scan?
Skiing.
Skian.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Okay. Did he get sworn in? Okay.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, we're going to hear from Mr. Stenson, and we'll give you a chance to talk.
Good morning, Inspector
Good morning.
Stinson. Qualifications are on file. Since the last hearing, I have been in contact with the property owner. Yes, the property is occupied, and he's actually completed the work. He has applied for the permits. The permits were returned. They were requesting additional information, so I'd like to amend this case to the next cutoff.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
I'm glad
Working
that
on it.
the one thing that's missing here is the photograph of the completed work,
Okay,
so that can be noted as part of the record.
right.
And
So what, we can ask Mr. Stenson, what is the completed work?
The only thing that was left was the south wall on the property, and he's
Okay.
completed it, painted it.
Good. So that's on record. All you have to do is the wall work, right?
No, everything is done. So
Well,
the-
okay.
The permit is what's in process right now.
Right.
I've been in contact with John. I've been in contact with permitting. The permit, I provided additional information as requested. It's in review, the second part of the process, and basically, I'm waiting for that to be returned. And the only thing that I might request is that I'm going to be out of the country by the time the next meeting comes around. So,
Well, the work should be finished and sent, and if you get,
the permit,
yeah, if the permit gets finalized and Mr. Stenson knows that, he can report that to us. And in fact, you may be in compliance before the end of.
I fully anticipate that that's going to be
So
the
that-
case.
I don't see that as a big issue. I know I like to have people here, but if you're working so hard on compliance and everything's going according to plan, yeah, I don't see that as an issue.
Okay. I mean, as long as that's, amenable to the board and to John, then,
But you will have to call him and let him know when that's done.
no issues with that whatsoever. And as I spoke with John last week, I had told him that the permit, I had submitted additional information, and of course, up until the time I get the response back from permitting, I'm not going to, trouble him with, the details or what's.
He's all about details.
With no information. I'd prefer to have information to submit rather than, calling with niceties.
That's okay, but he needs to be appraised of what's going on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so Chair will entertain a motion then previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until August 2nd to come into compliance to be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day until compliance is achieved. Such a motion? Motion, Ms. Roby, second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, now, let's see. So we're finished with page 5. Now we're going back to page 6. This is case 13. CEB 04-24-84, Larry Sanders. Mr. Sanders available?
He's here.
Oh, good. Good morning.
Morning, ma'am. Morning, y'all.
Please state your name and address for the record and be sworn in by Ms. Everett.
My name is Larry Sanders, ma'am. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. And
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes, I is.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to let Ms. Kirk tell us about the case, and then we'll hear from you, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Kirk?
Okay, since the last hearing, there has been no progress on the he's on the city's waiting list, the rehab list for assistance. So there hasn't been any progress in that program yet for Mr. Sanders. So we're asking to amend to the January cutoff.
Okay. What is the program they're on?
He's on the rehab list, the city.
Do you continue to live there, right, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Oh, yeah.
And there are no issues that need addressing instantly, or no dangerous issues, no?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Anybody have a problem with that?
I don't think we should wait till January. I mean, I don't know how far the list is moving. Is it moving at all?
Not that I'm aware of. I've asked, and it's
Well,
you know,
we're
that's
giving everybody else like 6 months because so these cases don't have to come back and come back and come back.
Right.
Do we have verification that it's on the list?
Oh, yeah, and this is probably, he's been in here, I've had this case since 2019. He's been on
Yeah.
the waiting list for 4 years, or I'm sorry,
That part.
3
I'm
years.
sorry.
He's been on the waiting list for 3 years. So,
There must be a big waiting room.
there is.
Well, we're supposed to have someone from the city here today that's going to give us an update on all of these programs. What?
They're on the list.
Yeah, they're on the list. We're on the list too.
I tell you.
I mean, it's on the agenda. Is that happening?
I was told that someone would be here, but I don't know who. I asked who, and they never responded with the person to tell me.
I've been dealing with Mr. Bill.
I know, it's okay. We're not blaming you.
It's on the agenda, and we anticipate someone being here, but
Okay.
we won't have that
Okay.
assurance.
I'll make the motion, we continue, so we don't have a date for January yet, do we?
I don't know.
January 3rd.
Third.
Compliance date, and the hearing date would be the 11th.
Is it possible that the code board officer could contact him, and if there's nothing changed, then just take it off the agenda? I don't want to keep hearing this.
I know.
It's a joke,
It is.
a complete joke.
It is.
Either, when they're ready, then that's what we hear. Otherwise, why bother with this?
Well, I mean, if we only do it every 6 months, but I mean, there's got to come a point where we stop doing this, which is why we asked the city to come in here and explain these programs to us and what's taking so long. Once again, government works slowly. No, they don't. They just don't have this as a priority. So, in my opinion. Do you want to still do the 6-month thing?
We'll do the 6 months, but sooner or later, I don't know what to tell
I
you.
know, well, all
Is
right.
there any way to close that for us?
I don't think so. I don't know. Is there a way to close this case? You want to close the case?
I mean, how do we get this thing closed up where this is not, I haven't been here that long.
Right.
This is the second time I've seen this gentleman.
Right,
And
that's
I'm gonna
right.
see him again,
Right,
and we're gonna say the same thing,
right.
because we're waiting on the city to do something.
Let the city commission make a statement on when they're gonna, do something about that. That's the only way to close it. This is their program, and,
Yeah.
so what they're gonna do about it.
We're volunteers to come here to do this,
Right,
and I'm not complaining about
Right.
being a volunteer,
right.
but I'd like to be able to do something. Right now, I'm wasting my time,
With this.
and your time, and his time, and her time. These folks work hard enough out there. It's just, they're just chasing their tail.
Okay, but I don't know that there's anything actionable for us to do. It's, the house is still in violation. I think that we need to have someone from the city come after these meetings and explain to us exactly what's going on, and then I guess maybe we should contact the commission as a board. I don't know.
See, I don't-
I'm
I don't
just asking.
understand what you mean.
That was a question, not a
What-
statement.
What you mean, contact the commission? We've got these fellows back here broadcasting this.
I know.
We've been talking about this for 2 years. There's
Absolutely.
no one
Well,
from the commission
obviously
watch
longer.
this?
This case is 2019.
Does no one from our commission watch this? Does the city
No.
manager not watch this?
I don't know.
Is this a big surprise?
No, not to us.
You put it on the nail. It's not a priority,
Right,
obviously.
that's it.
Do you feel safe in your house, Larry?
Yeah, I'm all right with it.
I mean, there's nothing that maybe Ms. Kirk could tell the housing list that,
I just need him to do what they say he was gonna do.
Right.
but you're okay living there? I mean,
I'm
you
all
don't have
right.
a hole in your roof that.
Yeah, I got a little hole in there. See, it's getting,
And there is a roofing program, correct?
I got the roof, but they won't give me the roof, because the house structure is not strong enough.
Right.
Right, it was deemed ineligible for the waiting list for a new roof due to the condition of the home, so it is on the rehab list.
Yeah, when they go on the
Yes.
rehab list, why can't they come off of this list? Why don't they come off of that
Because it's still in
inspection?
violation.
Because it's still in violation.
But he's on rehab. She's going out and there's nothing she can do because the rehab people aren't doing their job. So we're paying her to go out there and then to come here.
Well, I
And
remember-
there's
I
a disconnect
remember
outside
last
of
year.
here.
Last year, we had somebody come in and they said they couldn't find the contractors to help these people too.
Right, that was 2 years ago, actually, I think.
They couldn't find the contractors that were willing
Willing
to
to
work
work.
for the price they wanted
willing
to
to
pay.
Right.
Madam Chair, since Mr. Sanders' case isn't the only one like this.
Right.
We may want to, and this is only a suggestion, if we want to discuss and see, whatever perspective of the city, at least in terms of some of the questions you're asking there, we may want to maybe do that in a little bit of a discussion after the.
Okay, all right, let's just rule on this case right now.
I'll make the motion that way.
Second.
And Mr. Sanders doesn't have to come back till January.
Okay, we'll see where we are, January 3rd. All right. Ms. Roby has made a motion, Mr. Harrington has made a second to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until January 3rd, 2024 to come into compliance or be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. All in favor say aye. Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay, we'll have this thank you, sir, for coming in. We'll have this discussion again after we hear the cases. So we can try and figure out as a board how to move forward with this, because it is, Okay.
You're okay.
You're good. Okay. There's now our case 15, we heard 14, case 15, CEB 11-22-249, Charlene Rollins.
Okay, this property is also waiting to get permits they need to wait for the vacating of the right-of-way behind the property. Until this happens, they cannot obtain the necessary permits to close the case. So we're asking to amend to the October cutoff for compliance.
Oh, I guess if we did one that way, we should probably do, what's the date of the October?
10-4.
This is basically the same thing, right?
Right.
I don't understand why every property isn't going to be included in this. Every property that's affected should be included in that right-of-way, right? So,
I don't know.
or do we have to do one at a time?
I mean, I can't go in their backyard. These were complaints, and I was able to see the violations from the complainant's backyard.
Right.
So,
And again, Madam Chair, the violation isn't because, the ability to comply is because of
Right,
the.
absolutely.
The need for
So,
the vacation, but the violations, I don't know how many of them actually have.
Violations.
Right, again.
So
this is not
only
what
the
it
ones
said.
that have violations. Okay,
And often,
That-
it's probably to do with the setback for the ability to.
Right,
grant these permits,
absolutely.
And the setback is changing.
Okay.
Now that
Some
they're-
people probably don't even know they have the easement back there, or the right of way. So if they don't have nothing in their backyard, they wouldn't know.
right.
I
Oh,
move
okay.
to send this case to the October meeting.
Okay. Motion from Mr. Harrington. There's second?
Second.
Okay, second, Ms. Roby. A motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 10/4/2023 to come into compliance and be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Okay, we have 16, all right. Mr. Harrington, make a note, Mr. Harrington is leaving at 10:30, but we have a 1, 2, 3, we have a quorum, so we're going to continue. Okay, case 17. That's the Zoom call, right? Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, please state your name and address. Well, let me get this, some administrative stuff out of it. This is case 17, CEB 02-23-37, Liam Bates, who is here on Zoom. Go ahead. Sorry, you're on. State your name and address for the record and be sworn in by Ms. Severide.
My name is Liam Bates. I live at 552 Tarragona Way, Daytona Beach, Florida, 32114.
Will you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to hear from Ms. Kirk, and then we'll give you a chance to respond. Ms. Kirk?
Okay. Since the last hearing, I have had contact with Mr. Bates. There has been progress. A new survey was submitted to Permits and Licensing.
Good.
Shed has been moved, so we're just awaiting the final of the permit. So we'd like to ask to amend to the next hearing, or next cutoff for compliance.
Okay. How does that sound to you, Mr. Bates? You're moving right along there. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I did the research, so it is within code for the code itself. So I just need to get the permit release, and then they said that they would help me get it inspected as well.
Okay, good. All right, since we have a quorum, we are going to vote on case numbers 17. Entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 8/2/2023 to come into compliance. We return to a subsequent meeting for consideration of fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Roby, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Marsh. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. All right, case 18. Again, Ms. Kirk. CB 04-23-63. Albert, Sharon, and Ethelrida Burton. Who's here?
I am.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning. Mr.
Darrell Lucas.
Mr. Harrington has returned for case number 18. Excuse me? What, would you state your name and address for the record and be sworn in?
Darrell Lucas.
What's your address?
435 Cameron Street, Daytona Beach, Florida.
Will you raise your right hand, sir? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, how are you related to the owners of this property?
They're actually members of my church, and I pulled a permit for this property. Well, I have an application for a permit.
I believe you're a contractor, correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you're the contractor to do the work?
Yes.
Okay. So is this, all right, I'm going to hear from Ms. Kirk first, and then I'm going to, I probably won't have too many questions for you since you're the contractor, but I don't.
Well, 18 and 19 should probably go together.
We'll do them, said they're separate cases, we'll do it separately. The second one may take less time than the first, that's all, or may not. All right, Ms. Kirk, what can you tell us about this?
Okay, since the last hearing, there's been no progress. The only contact I've had is from the owner's son via email. I've received a couple emails. With that, the staff is recommending a fine of $100 a day to a max of $15,000.
Is it vacant, Sarah?
Yes, ma'am.
Because there was a squatter issue, wasn't there?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct?
Right. This case is not about the squatters. This is about the outside
Correct.
storage that hasn't been removed, and the case has been open since January for
That's-
outside storage
That's not there anymore.
and trash and debris.
That's not there anymore.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Mr. Lucas. Are you representing these people, correct?
Yes.
What's so hard about cleaning up the outside? What's been the difficulty?
If you see, like, if you go back to that other picture,
Mhm. Yeah.
that's what it was looking like,
Mhm.
and then go on to the next picture. That's what it look currently like now. A lot of
lot
progress
of
have
it
been
has
made
been.
as far as getting it done.
Uh,
We've had like 4 dumpsters out there, and the only problem that we have is that people come and dump things there. Every time we get it kind of cleaned up, somebody dumps some other stuff there
Because it's vacant, that
because it's vacant.
mhm.
But you can see the difference. I mean, like,
I do see the difference.
Okay, that was yesterday, right
Yes.
there, and if you could zoom in to the right of the
Yeah.
house. I mean, there's still outside storage, it can be easily picked up.
Right, I agree.
So,
When something is, if you think, that now in this separate case, outside storage, if you are representing the owners need to call and stay in touch with Ms. Kirk and tell her that you have cleaned up the property and let her come out and inspect it, and then she can put you into compliance for this case.
okay. I just got on board.
I was going to ask you that,
The
yeah.
owner actually lives out of town, so that may be why they haven't had
So
a
the
chance
owners
to-
don't live there? Nobody lives there,
Nobody
right?
lives there, and the owner lives out of town. Ms. Burton actually passed, so her son Albert is like left
Where do
with
the
the
owners
property.
actually live?
New York.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you gonna be going there every day?
Yes,
Close to every day?
yes, and I've done, when we get in the second case, I've done some things
Yeah.
have been done on the
All right,
second
we're
list.
just going to talk about this one. I mean, this needs to be done.
Okay, well, I get this done as soon as possible. And some other things, there were some, those things that's on the side of like some windows, and the owner asked to say they wanted to keep them. I don't know
Well,
why.
all this is outside storage and trash and debris. That's all this case is about.
Okay.
Not about anything else. The next case is about a whole lot more, but this one,
I'd like to make a motion to amend to the next cutoff for this case. Because if he's gonna be going there every day, he can certainly get it cleaned up in a couple of days, and then contact Sarah, let her come out and check it, put
Yep.
you in compliance for this one,
Okay.
and
Sarah-
then we can move on.
right. Sarah, what is your recommendation for this?
the staff recommended a $100 a day fine to a max of 15.
May I ask what the owner's plans for this property are?
He want to renovate his mom's house.
Is he gonna rent it out, or are they gonna just use it for themselves?
I'm not sure at this
That's
point.
Immaterial.
I'm not sure at this point.
But,
Just, it depends on how fast they'll get it fixed, if they're gonna
right,
rent it.
you're right. You're right.
I mean, he's motivated to get it done now. I don't know what it was in the past, but then he contacted me and said that that's what he wanted to get done.
Well, I think you, as a representative of them, you need to tell them that the board is not happy that nothing was done to this property, and that we're giving, maybe when we vote, we will be giving them the opportunity to clean up the,
Before the
make
next,
sure that, the outside of the property is cleaned up. Because the city's recommending $100 a day.
I will express that to them.
Hmm?
I will let them know that, the urgency of it.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments from the board?
They were first notified in January.
Correct.
Sarah, do you think there was any progress?
There was progress since January, but last month I amended it, amended the case till this month. It's cut off, and there's still, debris. So that's why I think staff, feels that they've had enough time to simply pick up the debris. So that's why staff recommended $100 just to maybe push it to get the debris cleaned up.
Was there communication in between that month? From last time, were you able to speak with the owner?
Nobody showed for the hearing last month.
So that's
Yeah, no,
probably good.
they haven't shown for, I
Any
think
month.
there were 3
Right.
hearings before this.
So that's why I say I think they're more motivated, and I think they're getting the idea that they need to get this done. And I'm here now.
I mean, though, you did speak to them occasionally, is that right?
Yeah, I've had a case on this property before, so I had a contact with Mr. Albert Burton's son, David. So I've had contact with him via email. I did call him on the phone in January as a courtesy to try to get the case resolved without even, as a courtesy.
Right.
And I didn't receive a call back, so I issued the notice. And then here we are in July, and it's still hadn't been all cleaned up.
Is there a way for us to shorten this time of opportunity for them to get it cleaned up? Because I would hate to come back here a month from now and we have the same issue again.
No, because, I mean, we only have our hearings once a month, so, I mean, it's, that state law gives them 30 days if we,
30 days for what?
if we amend the previous order, do we have to give them 30 days? Can we give them less time?
You could.
Before a fine could begin, we can
Yes.
do that?
Or at least have the owner contact staff.
Well, he's got a representative here, so that, I mean, we generally accept that as, you know.
Is that an auto fine? Where you give them a certain period of time in which to bring things into, up to snuff and,
Yeah, if I,
and then impose a fine,
Go ahead.
yeah,
as opposed to 30 days?
Right.
I apologize for not having Mr. Sino up there,
Oh.
Mr. Riggio. Historically, the thought has been because you come back once a month, just being able to confirm whether they comply or not. However, we shorten times. Sometimes we even do it when we have life safety issues, maybe to a 10-day. So we have been able to have a shortened time that we can impose.
Right,
you
but
wouldn't
it
address
is
until you come back
generally
for the
life
next meeting.
safety issues.
Well,
yeah.
it's not limited to that. I
No.
mean, you can do it with anything, but that's the sample of how it's done. I mean, there is the alternative as Mr. Attorney Riggio has stated that you could do under this circumstance, once it's been given an order to comply, which you've already had previously, you could do a auto fine, which would be where you would order it to be in compliance by a certain date, or a fine would begin to occur, which we've
We have
had
done
in
that
your form.
before. Yeah, okay.
Maybe I can help
Sorry.
out with this. Can we have 2 weeks to get it done?
Why?
We have to get another dumpster out there. I mean, you're always saying 30 days. I'm just asking for 2 weeks before a fine is
Well,
done.
there was question about whether it was going to be 30 days. What's the board's feeling on this?
He's the one that's gonna do it. If he says he can do it in 2 weeks, then give him the 2 weeks.
Okay. Any other comments?
They're not gonna talk to the owners. They're not gonna do the work. He's gonna do the work.
Right, well, he's representing them, so that's fine, too. Okay. Let's see. So, what is the date 2 weeks from now? Does anybody know? I don't know.
You're in essence giving him 30
27.
days, so if he doesn't get it
27.
done in 2 weeks, we're not gonna come back here for a month anyway.
I know, but we can start the fine.
Well, she has suggested that once I get it done, that I contact her
It's
and
just
have
not
her
a
come out.
suggestion, it's something you should do. I
Well-
mean, it is a suggestion, you don't have to do it, but then the fine's just gonna accumulate.
Well, what I'm saying is that once I get it done, then I will contact her.
Yeah, absolutely,
and
so
have
she
her come
can
and
put
take a
you
look
into
at it.
compliance and
Right.
avoid, all right. So here's, let's see. Chair will accept a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent to come into compliance until July 27th.
Before July 27th.
July 27th is, by July 27th. And impose a fine in the amount of $100 per day, effective July 27th. Is that wrong?
The 28th.
The 28th, okay, effective July 28th. Of $100 per day until compliance is achieved or reaches the maximum of, is this $10,000?
15.
15,000. Okay, is there such a motion?
Okay, I'll make a motion.
All right, Ms. Roby made the motion, is there a second?
Yes, I'll second it.
Okay, second, Mr.
Madam Chair,
Mahegan.
if I could just make sure it's clarified what you were saying in terms of that motion.
Okay.
That you're saying that he must comply by,
Within 2 weeks,
which is
by
comply
July 27th.
Failing compliance by that date on July 28th.
The fine of $100 a day will start.
And it would accrue until it reaches a maximum of
$15,000. All right.
May I ask you, have you asked the owners to post the property, no trespassing, so these, because you're evidently.
Well, let's get to, you want to get to that in the next case? The next case is.
No, I
Okay.
referring to the dumping of the garbage.
Yeah, okay.
They do have no trespassing
Do they
signs
have it?
posted up on the house, and the actual police said that it was a different one that they had to do, and they did that one as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we believe they are on a no trespass list, I think.
Yes, they are.
Indicated that.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed, motion carries. Okay, 2 weeks to get it cleaned up before the fine starts, basically. All right,
thank you.
let's do case number 19, CB 0523-67. Are you representing them in this part
Yes,
of the
ma'am.
case, too? Does he need to be resworn? No. Okay.
Okay, since the last hearing, I've had little contact with the son, Mr. David Burton, via email. There's been no known progress. The permit that was applied back in May by Mr. Lucas still has not been issued. So staff is recommending a fine of $100 a day to a max of $15,000.
Is the permit in review? You apply?
Yes,
it's in
ma'am.
review?
Yes, ma'am. They just switched over the system too, so everything has kind of been delayed somewhat.
What about the system?
They changed and went to a paperless thing where everything is submitted online now. So it just came effect on June 1st. I think it was June 1st or something.
Yeah, I know.
So everything kind of got put. But what I do want to say is that
There's an awful lot that needs to be done here.
Yes, ma'am. But it has been cleaned up on the inside. All of the inside is cleaned out now. But
So
what
you already did that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And also all of the windows have been replaced, the ones that was broken.
Okay.
The owner mostly focused.
Did you have permits for that?
I didn't need it because panes were replaced, not actual windows.
Okay.
And the
I
owner.
think that's fine, right?
Yeah. The owner was focused more on the exterior right now. So I've already had all of the screens have been ordered. I haven't placed them in there yet because I'm just afraid somebody may take them in between time. But all the screens have been done. All the broken windows have been replaced.
So there
broken
is
plane.
progress, huh?
And the inside is completely cleaned out. Like that's not what it looked like now.
And you got it secured, the building
And
is
it is secured now.
And your broken windows are done.
The screens are done, so the suffix has to be done on the exterior.
Oh.
And that's all I was aware of
When
at
was
the
the
time.
last time, Ms. Kirk, you were out there?
I was out there on a police search warrant on February 15th of 2023, and I haven't been inside since then.
You haven't been inside.
Right. So I was there on the outside, just on the street yesterday.
Okay.
So I can't see, much from the outside. I can still see the front door boarded, outside storage, stuff like that.
So you can't testify that progress has been made?
No, it's unknown because I haven't been invited inside for a reinspection.
You need to stay in touch with Ms. Kirk. This is how these cases get solved, rather
ma'am.
than people just get fined.
Yes, ma'am.
And make sure that you have your permits and let her know what's going on. She's the one that's going to put you in compliance.
Yes,
It's not going to be this board. We don't put people in compliance.
I understand.
Okay. All right.
But a lot has been done since February.
How long do you reasonably do you think it will take for you to do this work?
I'm not sure. I'm just being honest. I think well, let me say it like this. It depends on the owner's financial situation more so than in the actual time that the work would need to be done.
Interesting. Okay.
The work will be done as to whether they have the money to get it done.
So that's why you haven't been working all along, because they didn't have the money to pay you?
Not necessarily. They did it in increments, saying like, let's get this done, let's get the dumpsters and get this done, let's get the dumpsters
So
and
we
get the
need-
stuff cleaned out.
Madam Chair, this is something sometimes can be handled with a progress report.
Uh-huh.
Since there's somebody who's not here, the owner, who's funding the work, but this gives an opportunity
Right,
then
because he
for
doesn't
the,
know what their financial.
for the contractor to discuss that with them, and they can come forward with a plan. That may not be agreeable to you.
Right.
But at
Okay.
least he's not speculating.
Right.
About what can and
okay.
can't be done.
Okay.
Well, I'm here now, so I can't speak of what happened in the past, but I am here now. Like I said, I will keep in contact with her and let her know what's going on. I think we have an open line of communication now, so that we will be able to monitor this as the progress is being
Yeah,
done.
I kind of like the idea of a monthly progress report starting next month.
Madam Chair, if I may, perhaps a progress report next month with the assurance that they've given the inspector opportunity to see the progress. So to actually come in and see.
Oh,
what they've
definitely.
done. And then see, because we really should, and again, just from historically, generally would not necessarily limit the time period based solely on someone's questionable
Financial,
situation.
yeah, correct.
So maybe there is a financial burden, and we need to see the extent of what that is to try and justify and extend, at least from the city's perspective, justify an extended time period. At this time, I would be interested in knowing, based on Mr. Lucas' assessment of what work needs to be done, eliminating the thought of the finance, based on this assessment of the work would be done, how much time it would take to accomplish that work approximately. I know
That's a good
I'm
point.
not asking for them to give me.
Right, not when
the
they
point,
can, when that,
but what's
how long would it
reasonable
take
amount?
you to do it? But how long would it take him to do that work if they said,
Normally-
oh, is that what you're asking?
Yes, ma'am. And normally we would compare that to the perspective of the inspector, but in this case, we don't have a perspective because we have not been in.
Mhm.
So it would be,
It's a complete gut job, so anywhere from 4 to 6 months.
All right. With that being said, with Mr. Lucas on the oath, then it sounds like it probably would be looking at some reasonable progress reports along the way. But again, I would recommend a 30-day now, just so that we have an opportunity to actually go in and be on board with the action that's being taken. And ideally, Mr. Lucas could suggest this to his to the owners, whichever owner representative he's working with, that they can appear by Zoom and be a part of this, and that may be more helpful to the board as well as to the staff.
And some of the work can't start until the permit is approved, like for the exterior doors and stuff that needs to be changed.
Well,
They have a
yeah,
permit first.
but that needs to happen.
Yeah.
You know,
We're submitted,
you have submitted permits?
yes. She told, I think
For doors and windows,
Doors
it
and
was
win-
applied in May. It's still not issued.
Why?
Not issued, excuse me.
But,
So there's,
says
specs,
under review.
certain things are needed from the permitting department, to my understanding, is why it's not issued yet.
They're
Specifications.
requiring certain things
Right.
of the respondent,
Correct.
and
Yes.
those things have not happened yet.
Right. So that's why it's not issued yet.
Okay, enough. I mean, we know what's going on, we know the situation, we know the work, there's a lot of work to be done inside. Question is now, what do we want to do? So does the board have opinions on that?
I do.
Go ahead.
It's not nice,
It's fine.
but as a contractor, he's only as good as his dollars are. If his dollars stop, he stops.
Right,
We're back to square one.
right.
So I'm sorry. So it would really be nice if the owner was somewhere along the line agreeing with this gentleman as to how that's going to go. Because, in another 60 days, we could very well be in storm condition, and next year we'll be talking to the same gentleman. That's my opinion of it.
Anybody else?
I think that we are going to move forward, and I think that by me being here and able to talk to the owner about the situation and also inform him about the fines that could occur and stuff like that, I think that will also help him be a little bit more motivated to go ahead and get this done.
Yeah, well, I don't see us waiting 2 months for anything. I think my opinion is that we need a progress report next month. And we have to reset a compliance date, don't we? We do a
I don't know what's our existing plans, Madam Chair, I'm not sure.
Oh, no, we're past that, okay.
Oh, we
All
are.
right, so.
Can we do a compliance date, a couple months, 2 or 3 months out, but have a progress report next month?
No, we don't need a compliance day. We're here to impose a fine, so I was wrong about that. What I'm thinking we need is the ability to fine them if the progress report is unsatisfactory. How does that happen?
Well, I have another question.
Okay.
Okay, the owner's not here. Owner's not privy to anything we're saying, or anything we agreed to.
Well, but he has agreed.
That's their problem.
That's their problem.
Right, I understand.
And he's
But-
agreed, they have agreed to allow Lucas to, is it Mr. Lucas? Lucas is your
Yes,
first
ma'am.
name, right?
Lucas is my last name.
Oh, Mr. Lucas, to speak for them.
Okay.
I mean, that,
As long as that's covered.
yeah, that's covered.
The owners have been notified of the hearing, and they've waived their presence by not being here.
Okay.
And they sent a
Right.
representative who stated he is.
Right.
And it's the first time they sent a representative, so we have made a little progress.
All right.
But if the progress report is not satisfactory,
Madam Chair, instead of scheduling it as a progress report, you can include the progress report, but you can continue the status of this case, which is a status of imposition of a fine. And part of your consideration at the next meeting would be the progress report, the progress that's being made, as well as the right of authorization of a reinspection by the inspector, so that you'll have more information.
okay, so,
So it'll be a continuance.
all right, let's see if I can craft this.
If Mr. Riggio agrees.
Is that, yes? Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of non-compliance and to further order a progress report for the August 10th meeting and allow the code inspector to come in the building to confirm the progress. Or the respondent could be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be returned to the meeting for consideration of a fine.
Okay, for consideration of a fine,
Up
yeah,
to-
to $1,000 a day. Do you understand what we're doing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay. Questions?
No, as I see it, essentially, you'll need to come back with a satisfactory progress report.
Right.
And if it's not satisfactory, the board still retains the prerogative to
fine.
levy a fine.
Yes, sir.
You'll need to come back with a progress report and some progress,
Yes, sir.
Right,
Yes, sir.
not just a report.
right.
And an opportunity of confirmation from the staff.
And confirmation of the progress.
I got it.
Okay. So, Ms. Roby,
So moved.
the motion, second?
Second. I'll second it.
Second, Mr. Mahegan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Okay, there you go.
All right.
Got your work cut out for you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Case number 20, CEB 05-23-66, Michael and Carla Hill. They're from Georgia. No show, no contact last time. Anybody here this time? Okay.
Okay, since the last hearing, I have not had any contact, and there's been no progress. Staff is recommending a fine of $100 a day to a max of $15,000.
Is it occupied? Now? No?
Sometimes it appears occupied, sometimes it doesn't, so I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. There's no water there still, nothing?
Right, and the permits are still expired.
Well, is $100 a day enough? It's pretty serious with no water there. It's
Right.
occupied.
Let's go 200.
Okay. Any other comments? All right. Chair will entertain a motion to impose a fine of $200 per day against the respondent effective today and continued until compliance is achieved or reaches the maximum of $15,000.
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Roby, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Marshall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move on to our new cases. Now, case number 21, CEB 07-23-93, Chris Don at 132 Pierce Avenue. I am going to recuse myself from this case, which means I'm going to have to pass the gavel. And because I have been friends with Chris for 20 years and don't think that I should be involved in this
Well, I've known
at this
him for
point.
20,
Well, I've
30
done,
years.
I mean, we're kind of more than, you know.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I've known him for 20, 30 years, but I'm not gonna, I haven't seen
You
him
don't,
in 20
right,
years.
okay, but I have, so it, so I'm going to pass the gavel.
So,
Yeah.
Ms. Roby.
Okay. Okay, and these are just all compliance or non-compliance? So,
Me?
Yes, sir, Mr.
Okay.
Wiggins. Go
All
ahead.
right, Inspector Curtis Wiggins.
Has Mr. Dunn been sworn?
no.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Inspector Curtis Wiggins, code compliance, credentials on file. This was a citizen complaint case. The case was actually open for a dilapidated garage door. The first notice received was February the 24th of 2022. The compliance was due by March 26, 2022. I have had contact with the owner, but the issue still remains. The staff recommends non-compliance, compliance next cutoff.
Mr. Don, how are you?
Can't see a thing. Thank you.
Oh, you don't, this is your copy, that's fine, I'll look on.
That's nice.
I'll listen.
So this is like one of those weird stories that just never ended, but basically, my neighbor turned me in for hurricane damage that my insurance didn't pay. I was in process of making the repairs. So after I was cited, I have a picture of the door that I ordered.
Mm-hmm.
It took, there are only 5 licensed, at the time I was cited, there were only 5 licensed contractors that did garage doors that could pull permits. Then after I found one who would do my little garage, one single garage door, he pulled it. He went and applied for a permit, however, he didn't pay for the permit, so Mr. Wiggins informed me, and June, that basically my permit wasn't in existence because it hadn't been paid for. So I had to chase the contractor down and get him to do that, which happened at the end of June. But anyway, this is just one of those weird things. Then the work was scheduled to be done after Thanksgiving of last year. So before that happened, the contractor lost the guy who was going to do the framing repairs. If you can see the picture on the screen, the hurricane damage was the framing around the door had to be done. He no longer had the framer to do that work, and I had to get a second party to do that. Then because of the tropical storm Ian and then Nicole, there were issues of getting, there was issues with getting the door first because of the supply chain. Then the tropical storms happened, and then there were issues of getting the lumber. So anyway, that didn't happen in November. So I started again, and it took me till May that we had everything lined up. So then if you look at the last page I gave you, I have 10 communications with Inspector Wiggins, but the last one's the most important because I had a scheduled date where I had the framing person coming in. I had to get a dumpster I took all the stuff out of my garage, all of that stuff. And then scheduled the framing people. So to make a long story short, everything was supposed to be completed on June the 19th. And the framing people just never came. So
So you haven't had any framing?
no, so I have now had to start over again. I have someone coming this Monday to see if they can, start that work for me. And then after that's done, the garage door contractor will order my new door and schedule it to be installed 2 weeks after the framing is done. So that.
There's no permit yet.
Oh, there is a permit, and it expired on the June.
Last year though, right?
No, it expired. It was extended because of the hurricane to June 30th, and now it just was extended to September the 25th. So I'm asking that if you can get, instead of the 3 weeks, because I have to wait the 2 weeks just for the door to be ordered, that I could come back at your September meeting and show you that I'm in compliance, if you would allow that.
Is that amenable to the city?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm a little cheat here.
Can I say this? If the work is done and completed for us, the permit, and it's been finalized, you don't have to come back. All you have to do is just contact me.
Right, exactly, and that's what I want to do, but I don't know about the 3 weeks, which is the next, if it's 1 week before your August meeting, it's August the 3rd is the cutoff.
Yeah, the meeting isn't until August.
Until the 10th.
Yeah, right. So as long as, if you get it done before then, if you contact Mr. Wiggins.
He can do September.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
I know yes, I should be in September. So I just wanted to show you that I wasn't just, ignoring the situation by showing you I had contact with Mr. Wiggins 10 times. And I had the contractor all lined up. It's just some misfortune. And the other pictures I gave you was that on June the 22nd, there was a microburst on my street and caused further issues. Yeah, so there you go.
Ms. Roby, essentially, you have to make a determination of whether there's compliance or non-compliance and set a compliant state.
Okay, so there is how do I start it?
Well,
Listen to you say this a million times, but I still can't get it.
I'm assuming, based on the testimony that's been rendered, that Mr. Dunn is not contesting whether or not he's in compliance. So you have to say that the respondent's in non-compliance and order him to come into compliance by, and
September.
he's suggesting the date of September, I don't.
Whatever the week.
6th.
Ms. Richards, she'll be doing it by asking for a motion for that, not making.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
You have to make a motion, and then the board has to rule on that.
I can't make the motion though, okay. So, in the case of, 21 CDB 0723-93, Mr. Don is not in compliance, and, he is required to come into compliance by 9/6, or be returned to the board at a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of $2,000 a day until compliance is achieved.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Did you?
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
I'm sweating.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on to case 24, CEB 07
Excuse me, Madam Chair, I just want to ask, who did make the motion? I missed
Mr. Harrington.
Made the motion? Second. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to case 24, CEB 07-23-98, John Nelson. Okay, Ms. Kirk.
Okay, this was a complaint that was received on April 11th of 2023. It's a vacant, unsecured structure with trash and debris, outside storage, broken windows, exterior issues, and landscaping issues. First notice was April 14th of 2023. Compliance was due May 26th of 2023. There was a site visit conducted July 12th. Property still non-compliance. Staff's recommending a finding of non-compliance with compliance by the next cutoff.
Somebody live there?
I believe there was a squatter issue in there, but actually the complaint was generated from the police department in April. So other than that, I believe it's vacant now, though.
It's vacant
To my
now.
best, best of knowledge I can provide.
Is there no trespassing sign up?
I don't think so. I don't recall seeing, I've had no contact with the owner, or anything like that, so.
No, it's just compliance or non-compliance.
I'm sorry?
Are there any life safety issues there? Well, I guess if nobody's living there, I don't know.
It says condemned.
All right, so Chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance or respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date, which is August 2nd, 2023, or be returned to board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day.
I'll move.
Motion, Ms. Roby, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Marsh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Case 25. CB 07-23-99, Lindo Jolly. Good morning.
Good morning.
You look familiar.
Yeah, you don't look like Lindo.
The properties too, they next door to each other.
Okay, state your name and address or
Darrell Lucas, 435 Cameron Street, Daytona Beach, Florida.
Can you raise your right hand?
he's been previously sworn, so I think it's okay. Mr. Lucas. You have permission from Lindo Jolly
Yes,
to,
ma'am.
represent him. Okay. Simply, excuse me, compliance or non-compliance at this point?
Okay.
Ms. Kirk.
Thank you. This was a complaint-generated case I received on February 15th of 2023 for no water, no address numbers, trash and debris. There was broken windows, expired permits, permanent use of extension cords, defective exterior service conditions. First notification was March 14th of 2023. I've had no contact. Compliance was due April 21st of 2023. I've had a site visit yesterday, July 12th, non-compliance. Staff's recommending a finding of non-compliance with compliance due by the next cutoff.
Are there any life safety issues here? Does anyone live there? Let's first start with that.
It's hard to say, possibly, I don't know 100% for sure. I know that the one thing I can testify to is that when I contacted the utility department, they said that there is water usage there, but there's no legal account. So that tends to make me think that someone is living there, but I don't know 100% sure.
Does the city need to secure the property?
What it is that the water situation had been corrected because they did have someone that was just squatting there. And so the owner, Lindo Jolly, has opened up an account and the water is on legal now.
Oh, okay.
I also submitted a application for the power up for the FPL to come in and do the electricity.
So you
Mr. Lee just approved it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're waiting on Florida Power and Light now to come in and correct it. And as you see the dumps and stuff like that, a lot of work has been done as far as moving. When you went over there yesterday, you probably saw the backyard. A lot of that you see in this picture is not there anymore.
Okay, so we're just here today for compliance or non-compliance with one or more of these issues that still remain.
And the permit has been submitted.
I also see that there's a new fence from the initial inspection that I did. There's a new fence that's been put up and there's no permit. Is there a permit on file for that one?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I'll make sure that I cover it.
Okay.
Where does Mr. Jolly live?
Port Orange.
Okay. Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance or respondent to commit to compliance by the next cutoff date or be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. The next cutoff date is 8/2. Such a motion? Ms. Marsh, the motion, second?
I'll second it.
Second, Mr. Mahegan, all in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed, motion carries.
Okay, I have a question.
Well, we've ruled on it, but okay.
When you say in compliance, if everything has to be done, everything has to be done by.
Or we could fine you.
But if it's significant progress, would I be at that time to address that issue?
Extend.
Okay, whoa,
Would be
because that's a
also
lot.
able to we would also be able to extend
Okay.
the date of the fine.
Okay, okay, I got
and
it.
Once again, you stay in touch with Ms. Kirk and
Yes,
tell her
ma'am.
what you've done.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right.
Madam Chair, we could, the staff would like to ask for at least a 5-minute recess.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, okay.
Or maybe even 10 minutes if the board is okay with 10.
We're so close to the end, I hate to, we have four more compliance or non-compliance cases, and that's it. And I'd really like to get through that for the people that are here.
Yeah, Madam Chair, the inspector was out, but he's back, so never mind.
Okay, all right, okay.
And we only have 3, one's in compliance.
And we only have 3 more cases, one's in, it is, which one?
29.
How do you know that?
I have compliance for 29.
I didn't.
I don't.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Case 29?
It is.
It is?
Compliance 7/10/23.
Okay,
It's only 3?
right. All right, let's get these done. All right. Case number 27.
right?
I'm sorry, CB 07-23-101, Elizabeth Velma Lloyd, not here, okay?
All right, as it pertains to 1609 Florida Street, this is a field-generated case. I conducted a site inspection on January 26, 2023, which determined the property had the following violations: junk vehicles. Our first notice was received on February 8th, 2023. On March the 5th, 2023, the violation was to be in compliance. Last date of my reinspection was June 27, 2023. Result of my reinspection was non-compliance. I've had no contact with the property owner. Staff requests non-compliance, compliance next cutoff.
Okay, now, this says that she was first notified in February of 2022. Is that a mistake?
That's February 2023.
It should be February of 2023.
Yes.
Do we want to correct that?
I will.
Okay. This case is all 2023. Okay. Do we need to do anything more than that? Just note a correction needs to be made? Is that all right? Okay. All right. So, Chair will entertain a motion to find respondent non-compliance or respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date, which is 8/2/2023, or be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Roby, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Mahegan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Case number 28, CEB 07-23-103, Willie Warren, Kentucky Street. Here comes Mr. Warren, correct? Outside storage. Okay. Good morning. State your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Willie Devon Warren. Address is 764 Kentucky Street.
Okay. Be sworn in, please.
Will you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Butler.
Okay, as it pertains to 764 Kentucky Street, this is a field-generated case. I conducted a site inspection on February the 1st, 2023, where it was determined the property had the following violations: outdoor storage and connex. The connex is actually, go back to the picture before that, the bin that you see right there in the right-hand corner, the red thing?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. First notice was received on February the 6th, 2023. On March the 8th, 2023, the violation was to be in compliance. The last date of reinspection was June 26, 2023. Result of my reinspection was non-compliance. I've had contact with the owner. Staff requests non-compliance, compliance next cutoff.
Okay, is there anything we need to consider? Anything else, Mr. Warren? It not in compliance yet, right?
As far as what is the container called?
Yes, connex.
The connex. Well, I wanted to present something to the board. I'm a small business owner. Name of my company is WD Warren LLC. Do landscape, lawn care, and concrete services. I found a piece of literature. I don't know how to present it. 559.955 home-based business local government restrictions. I wanted to point out, let me see, Section 2, Part A, may operate in an area zone for residential use. I also wanted to point out, what number is this? Number 3, Section B, about vehicle and trailer parking. And as far as the connex, I use it for storage. Section B is about vehicles and trailers used in connection with the business must be parked in legal parking space that are not located within the right-of-way, on or over a sidewalk, or on any unimproved surface at the residence.
Is this your backyard?
Yes, I actually I actually had issues before, none reached this far. As far as the back lot, it was vacant. So I had to, they got on me about parking on the back lot, which was considered vacant at the time. So I had to combine the two lots to make it one residence. So my 764 home, which I live in, is considered the structure to be able to park. And that was years ago, probably.
The sidewalk that's going in front of this fence, that's actually on another street.
It's actually no sidewalk, yes. It's on the next street, which is Indiana Street, which is in the rear. But the home,
Drive on Indiana to get to the back of your house to park your vehicles for your business.
yes, I do use that entrance there, the gate entrance. It's usually closed. You know, this may be a day I had to leave out because most mornings I leave out 5 a.m. and I'm not back to after 5 p.m. So, and as far as that picture, I was in the middle of renovating my home at that time. So it was just extra stuff there. A lot of that is cleaned up, gone.
How long have you had your business
Uh,
in Indiana?
The business actually started in 2018 when I got all my paperwork, EIN, all that.
I'm sorry, this case is about just the storage, right? Not the vehicle.
About the storage,
But it's got that box in the backyard.
Outdoor storage consists of
Okay, come on.
the commercial vehicles. Anything that you, that's considered outdoor storage.
Right.
yes. And that's another thing I want to present. In the same section, number 3, it talks about, you know, local government may regulate the parking or storage of heavy equipment at the business which is visible from the street or neighboring properties.
Okay.
Like I say, far as that, I mean, as long as the gate closed, you really can't see nothing in my backyard, so it's really not visible from the street. And I'm just here to ask what is allowed, being that I'm a homeowner, business owner, and using.
Okay. There are some questions here. This is just about compliance or non-compliance. We don't make the rules on this board. We enforce the rules to the best of our ability, or interpret the rules to the best of our ability.
Madam Chair.
Okay, the city can add some clarity, please.
Yeah, his references to chapter 559 of the Florida statute.
Right.
There was an amendment to the statute, I think it was 2 years ago, I believe, or a year ago. It's a relatively new amendment to the statute related to home-based businesses and what's allowed and what's not allowed. I would ask that we continue this to the next meeting and give me a chance to consider what he's
makes perfect sense.
bringing up and see if he fits within the those exceptions that are now allowed for those businesses. Some of what he said, I know he's correct on.
Right.
Some of it I'm not sure, and so I would need to look at the law and get some.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to ask is was this complaint driven? How did this case come up?
This is a field-generated case.
Field generated.
Well, actually, I did what we call a
The
cold water.
Yeah.
Because it was a complaint that went to your city commissioner's office. So I did the entire neighborhood out there.
Okay, so field generated is good.
Move to bring this case to the next meeting.
Okay, continue. Mr. Harrington has made a motion to continue this case to the next meeting, which is going to be August 10th, 2023. Is there a second to that? Second, was that Ms. Roby? All in favor say aye. Aye. Like, sign, opposed, motion carries. So let's get because we're not in charge of the laws, all we do is get to hear what your side of the story is and his side of the story is. So that's it. So you stay in touch with these people.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Case 29 in compliance, case 30 CEB 07-23-105, Joseph Jancesti. I'm sorry, someone has to be last. Are you here for something?
I think so. I think I'm supposed to be here. I hope so.
I hope
so.
Flannery? I'm sorry, my mother's in
This is the
Jacksonville
last
in a
case?
rehab right now.
Flannery, he's in that first case, Flannery.
We were running late, we were coming out of Jacksonville today.
No,
Mother
we
was in the
already
hospital.
decided on that. Sarah Flannery, we decided that case.
Okay, well, I need to know what it is you decided.
Well, we can tell you, we'll have the secretary read what the board decided. Before we hear this case, I'm just trying, so you don't have to sit here anymore. What was the decision in case number 1 CEB 05-23-73?
$100 a day up to $10,000 effective starting today.
No, that's it, the case has been heard.
$100 a day, certain days, well, he's having an inspection.
When I call for inspection, Monday.
You just need to answer his phone.
Do we need to reopen that case?
It's your prerogative. I mean, to the extent that you have someone here, he can present defenses.
Well, we did, but I don't know. All right, let's do this case. Case number 30, CEB 07-23-105, Joseph Janczeski. Please, good morning, sir. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Joseph Janczeski, and the address is 1058 Thunderbird Drive.
Will you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, Mr. Butler, what can you tell us?
Yes, ma'am. As it pertains to 1058 Thunderbird Drive, this is a field-generated case. I conducted a site inspection on July 7th, 2022, where it was determined the property had the following violations: pill and paint, parking issues, junk vehicles, and outdoor storage. The first notice was received on July 25th, 2022. On August 25th, 2022, the violation was to be in compliance. Last date of my reinspection was June 26, 2023. The result of my reinspection was non-compliance. Staff requests non-compliance, compliance, next cutoff.
What would you like to tell us, sir?
Well, the vehicles that are there, they're all registered and insured. They're all my vehicles.
Okay. But you're not allowed to park them on the lawn, I think is the issue, is that right?
That is
Mr. Butler?
correct.
Okay. You can't park them on the grass.
Okay.
And the van,
I don't make the rules, I'm just telling you what they are.
and also, if I may, as it pertains to the vehicles, the van that they're working on in the driveway, it will be considered a junk vehicle until they get it fixed. You know, it can't be in that state there.
Okay. What else would you like to tell us?
Well, I'm working on it.
Okay. What are you doing?
Well, I'm doing the front, fixing it because the stucco that was on it was falling off.
Okay. You're notified in July of 22. What's been the holdup?
The holdup is because I'm doing the work myself. And I'm 72 years old.
I get it. Well, this is just compliance or non-compliance, and from the pictures we see, you're not in compliance, and you need to get into compliance. When you do something, it would be in your best interest to talk to Mr. Butler and tell him that you've done something, whether it's get rid of the vehicles, get rid of, get some work done on the property. You need to keep him informed, so when he comes next time, he can tell us what you've done.
Okay.
And then if we see a good faith effort, sometimes we give people more time to work on stuff,
All right.
okay? All right, so Chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance or respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date, which is August 2nd, 2023, be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion? Motion, Ms. Roby, second. Second, Ms. Marsh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Do you have a case here?
No, he's with me.
I was just gonna tell Mr. Roosevelt that, the front's already been painted and the van.
Will you let him come out there and inspect it and tell him? Yeah, okay, you talk to him outside. Okay, good. That will be great.
Okay.
Okay, now, are the people from case number 1 outside still?
Looks like Mr. Sykes is talking.
Do we want to rehear it or not rehear it?
I don't care either way.
Well, I know, but we have to decide, so.
It looks better if someone is here and they have an opportunity
Correct.
to present their.
I agree. You're all done, sir. You just stay in touch with, you two stay in touch
I've got to in touch
with Mr. Butler. Mr. Butler has to do this case. Now, I think because it quote unquote looks better, that we should hear if there's defense, since we imposed the fine. If it was just compliance or non-compliance, I might not feel that way. So I'd like to recall the case. Do I need a motion to do that?
Let's get them in here before they get out.
Yeah, that's true.
Hate to reopen the case. and
Right,
they've
but
already
nobody's
left.
here. Right, okay.
Okay.
Well, are they willing to come in and, do they want to come in and testify?
Well, when the sergeant just told them, they said, okay, great. So
Okay, so tell them. So we're going to vote on that
So I'll make a motion to reopen
case number,
case number 1, CEV 052373.
right, Sarah Flint, okay. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Second, Ms. Marsh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Okay, come on up, state your name and address for the record. Because you're here and because we imposed the fine, we're doing this. I don't know where you were in the beginning, but,
We were coming out of Jacksonville, I'm sorry, my mother was in a hospital for 17 days, and we have her in a rehab in Jacksonville.
okay.
So, the reason,
Yeah, let's get sworn in.
Can you tell me your name and address, please?
Elmer Flannery, 1356 Continental Drive, Daytona Beach, 32117.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
And your affiliation to this case?
Yes, ma'am. Her son.
Right, and you were here last time?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Mhm.
They made the effort to come here last time. Okay. All right, so, Mr. Butler, you testified that there was no progress in this case?
That is
Is that
correct.
true? And that you've had no contact?
They called and left a message on the phone for the reinstatement for Monday. I went there Monday, my pictures shows it.
Can we go back to that? Okay.
Can you,
Wait a minute, I'm gonna give you a
okay.
chance.
He has to go through all the pictures.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you live there?
Yes, ma'am. Hmm?
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
Okay, when,
Testify.
okay, okay, when were those pictures taken?
Says July 7th.
June.
No, those say
Oh,
June,
June
but we
7th.
put in July 7th, Monday pictures.
June, that says June
But
7th.
I have Monday pictures, you don't?
I only found last month pictures.
No, we put them in, I put those in just like I did all the other ones. We'll check it out.
That's it?
That's July.
There it is right
Wait,
there.
Wait,
There,
wait.
That's it.
Okay. I can't see the date. What's
That's July 10th.
July 10th. Couple days ago, basically.
Mm-hmm,
Absolutely.
Couple days ago.
mm-hmm.
Okay, what would
Now,
you
we're
like
talking
to-
about, I called on Monday.
What
and
date
asked-
was Monday?
The 10th.
Monday,
Oh.
the 10th. When he called, I got the message, I went out.
Okay.
Okay. Do you still have your voicemail on what I called and
I
asked you,
said
sir?
you called, I listened to your message.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, direct your conversation to the chair.
Okay, when I called,
Right.
I asked if he could come out on Wednesday. Ask him to return my call. Okay, I don't know what the vendetta is with me and him. I don't have a problem with him, but it's every year, and it's, he won't return my calls. Okay, if I call him, he will not return my calls. I asked for a Wednesday inspection. Okay, we're running back and forth right now because my mother was in the hospital for 17 days. We have to go back and forth to Jacksonville every day, check on my mother, because she's in a rehab in Jacksonville. That's why if he comes by my house today,
Does she live there as well?
yes, she does.
Okay.
There's a lot of, he took them pictures, he says Monday, come by my house today. We worked all night last night, the trailer's gone, where I'm working on trying to get my van started, get it moved, and it's not like there's no compliance, but I mean, I don't understand why he cannot return my call, or, I left him a message, can you please come out on Wednesday? He could have called me and told me no.
He what?
He could have called me and told me that he can't come out on Wednesday for an inspection.
Well, I'm not privy to that. I mean, I don't, I hear.
I mean, if
you're
you-
testifying.
Mhm.
I hear that under oath you're testifying that you asked for Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that was left on the machine.
Wait,
If I could remind the board that the compliance deadline was well prior to Wednesday.
yes, that is
I
true.
believe the testimony that he's giving right now was saying that even if it come on Wednesday, he would not be in compliance.
What I'm stating, well, the reason I wouldn't have been because my mother was in the hospital. Is
Okay.
the reason, I mean, we were trying to get everything done, and then she ended up in the hospital for 17 days.
Is the dilapidated fencing fixed?
I'm working on it. I mean, when she went in the hospital, we wasn't expecting that, and then now she's in Jacksonville on a rehab.
Well, now, okay, what have you done? Because it doesn't look, according to these pictures.
If you come by today, we weren't there Monday. Okay, if you come by, he can come by on Monday.
Well, he
If he wants to come by today and take pictures, he can. There's a lot been done. The trailer is no longer there. I mean, we're doing this, I'm doing it as fast as I can. The trailer's gone, all that's moved out, the yard's being mowed today, the van's being worked
You're
on.
saying if someone went out there today, those pictures would be different.
Yes, ma'am.
And that the reason this work hasn't been done is because your mother's been sick.
She was in the hospital for 17 days.
Yeah, I know, I hear you,
Mhm.
but this, you were notified in, April.
Mm-hmm. All that brush that was there, right there, we're just waiting for the city to pick it up. It's all by the road. That was all cut back off the front of the, building.
Well, it's hard for the city to pick that up with the truck, but whose truck is that?
That's my, sister's son's truck.
I can't pick it up. Should be further out for them to pick up.
It is.
Any comments from the board? Initial pass. All right, Mr. Butler, what would you like to say? I'm sorry.
Thank you, thank you. Just to add, this property has been an ongoing problem for several years. We received numerous amount of conversations from people in the community. That property is actually a blight. If you look where the van is, that entire backyard, I'm just, It's been a problem even before I started with the state, okay? So this is not new.
Is this the first time, though, that there's been a case?
Nope. I had a case prior to this when we had a different administration, and they were given an opportunity then. Actually, they were given a blessing then. So now I received calls again from people in the community.
So this is complaint-driven?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Wait,
Mhm.
1 second. I like taking my
Mhm.
notes so I know
Sure.
what's going on. Okay. Are you finished? I mean,
And just
Mr.
to
Moore?
let you know, that
Yeah,
white
I
van.
I get it.
That white van, I've been here 3 years. That white van been there 3 years.
Mhm.
So this is not new.
Mhm.
We just want it cleaned up.
Yeah, that would be in the best interest of the city, I think. Any comments from the board at all? We initially imposed a fine of $100 a day, effective today. Is there any sentiment to change that after hearing testimony?
No, not me.
Okay. So evidently, after hearing testimony from you and from Mr. Butler again, the board does not have an interest in changing their decision as to fine $100 a day.
That's fine.
Okay. So, do I need to make any kind of motion, or do we just, since we've reheard the case, do we need to impose a fine again?
I think it might be good to be on the safe side,
Okay.
if that's your pleasure.
Okay. All right. Chair will entertain a motion to impose a fine of $100 a day effective today and continue until it's brought into compliance or reaches the maximum of $10,000. Do I have a motion? Motion, Ms. Roby. Second? Second, Ms. Marshall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like, sign, opposed. We've ruled the same
Thank
way.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Well, we were supposed to have someone from the city here. Someone from the city here?
Yeah, we have,
Cool.
Mr. Thomas, he's the director of, redevelopment for individual services.
Good morning.
How you doing, Madam Chair? Ken Thomas.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Good, and the board.
Okay, so I don't know whether you've ever listened to any of our meetings. We have a lot of cases coming before us there where people say, I'm on a city rehab list, I'm on a city program, I'm on a state program, I'm on this program, I'm on that program. And in fact, they produce paperwork that shows that they are.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those cases, and we had several today, go back to 2019 that they've been on these lists. And in the meantime, nothing happens. The houses, in fact, get into even worse condition because nothing's been done. One hole in the roof leads to damage inside, or another hole in the roof leads to more damage inside, more things going on, and more things to fix, more things to rehab, because these things aren't done in a timely fashion, and nobody can give us an idea when they're gonna get to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just wanted you here to help us understand what the programs are and what's going on.
Okay.
So that, because we've gotten to the point now where we say, okay, you can have 6 more months because these poor people are coming in here every month
Mm-hmm.
and nothing's changed.
Right, yeah. Well, I can tell you that the city currently has a 3-year waiting list for housing rehab. The last I checked, I think we had over 300 people, I believe, on the waiting list. And this is just for housing rehab. It's not for roofing.
City program.
Yeah, it's just a city program. And that list includes people who need their homes rehabbed. We have a separate list for roofing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what
How long is that list?
that's between 2 and 3 years long as well. So people have been on that list for quite some time. I've been here now for 1 year, just last month. And what we're doing is we're purging the list. So individuals who come to you and say that they're on their list, feel free to communicate with our office to make sure, because a lot of these individuals may not, even though they're on our list, they may not be eligible for any services.
Then why would they be on the list?
In the past, we've just taken applications without actually verifying that they are eligible. So staff now is going through that entire 2-3 year waiting list to determine that these people who are sitting on this list should be on the list. If not, we're encouraging them to find resources elsewhere, because it's not fair to them, it's not fair to you all, it's not fair to anyone to be on a list, and at the end, when it does come their time, possible for eligibility, we deem that they're not eligible.
Okay, so how many people are on the wait list for the roof?
I don't have a number per se right now, but I can tell you that list is over 2 years old. Yes.
Can I make a suggestion while
Mhm.
you're going and purging these people, that the ones that are eligible,
Mhm.
when send them a letter and tell them to bring that to the next code compliance meeting,
Mhm.
so that we know that they are on that current list, because if they don't get that letter, then we know they weren't deemed acceptable for the program.
Right. Right.
So you're working through that list right
Oh, we're working through the list right now as we speak. We're making phone calls every day. Well, first of all, you got to pull the file to look at what information we have on any particular address. And once we looked at the address, once we looked at the just basic information, do you own the home? Are you in the city of Daytona Beach? What's your income? And those three things will tell us right off the bat we should continue to move forward. And so that's what our staff is doing right now, going through that quick checklist. And if that checks out, we're making a phone call, or we're not making a phone call, that they're staying on the list or they should look for resources elsewhere.
Do you have a list of resources elsewhere?
Yes, we do.
I mean, because our state, the NACA, and there are all kinds of programs.
And a lot of those programs are not free. I don't want to say free, but they're not grant programs. You do have to be obligated by a small mortgage. If you own your home, you may have some equity in your home. You may have to take out a mortgage to get your roof done.
Can you tell me the sources of your budget, how much your budget is, and how many people you actually get grants in a given year?
Okay, so we have two different programs. One program is for housing rehab. That program has been on hold for a couple of years now. They haven't done anything.
Is it on hold now?
No, we've activated it now.
So is it funded?
Yes.
How many dollars?
Yes. And so that program is essentially our home money. Home money is HOME from the federal government. And that amount right there is just over $400,000.
$400,000.
Yeah.
Almost nothing.
Well, yeah, that's, and so that's one part of money that we use. There's also a program called SHIP, S-H-I-P, State Housing Initiative Partnership. And so a portion of that money, this year we got an allocation of $700,000, but majority of that $700 goes to down payment assistance. The other portion may be less than 100,000, maybe, I would venture to say maybe between 100 and 200,000, we're gonna use for housing rehab. And so if you divide, I would say $30,000-$40,000 for housing rehab into 200,000, you can only probably repair 5 people out of that program.
Programs you apply for every year?
It's an entitlement for City of Daytona. So every year the federal government gives us an allocation. Every year, hopefully, if the governor signs the bill for the trust fund, we'll get money from the SHIP program. The other one I didn't tell you, didn't mention yet, was the money that we use for roofing. And that was the COVID money that we got from the federal government. And so with the COVID money, I don't have the numbers, but I can tell you we probably spent $3 million repairing roofs only.
How about CRA? What happened to that money?
That money is still available for people in the CRA.
Is it being delegated?
Yeah, if you apply. Only if you apply. And that's the other thing too. Good point. I'm glad you brought that up. If people don't apply, then we don't do it.
This water bill that I just got this month had a statement from May. The little newsletter that the city puts out, dated May 2023, which is, this is July. So if there's money out there and people need to apply at these CRAs, why don't we put out a up-to-date bulletin that says if you live in the CRA and need attention on your house, here's where you can apply.
And we did one, you know, a lot of our residents suffered from the hurricanes. So you could qualify up to $9,000. And so the city commission, mayor and the city commission allocated $2.5 million out of all the resources that we had at our disposal. And to date, we have spent just about $2 million with home repairs, up to $9,000 per resident.
Of the total money in CRAs, I don't expect it to have a dollar amount, but what percentage of that went to those kinds of programs?
I can't tell you where it went, how many, but I can tell you we set aside between, I would say, $100,000 to $150,000 per year for housing rehab.
Out of how much?
That is the Midtown CRA, where we have a lot of our residents who need home repair. So we don't look at one particular funding source. We have CRAs that we try to use money from, Midtown CRA. We use our home money. We use our CDBG money, and we also use our SHIP money.
But these people don't know that they can apply.
Well, I mean, I can't stand here and say that everybody knows because the newsletter that you're talking about, our communication department, they did they put out a bulletin, I think it was April sometime, letting people know that we were extending the rehab program, the $9,000 grant, people who suffered from the storm.
And what was that coming through? Where is that money coming through?
That money came through the COVID money and as well as the SHIP money. That was in total $2.5 million.
And already $2 million has been spent.
Oh yeah.
$3 million spent.
Yeah, we've done over, I would say, close to 300 households with that funding.
Well, I guess none of the ones that come before us.
Yeah, and you know, we are a resource for them, but we don't know if they are, you know, have been cited. And they should, if they know they've been cited and they know they're on the list, they should come to us first before even getting to this place.
Well, we of course don't have any control over that.
Nor do we, yeah.
But I don't think these people know, you know, like Larry, I mean, he's been, I've seen him forever.
Right.
Yeah, if I can,
Go ahead.
with that question, and just as just a brief statement. The ones that we don't know about are the ones that don't actually come here, so they appear to be the ones that are not getting cited, because the ones that come here tell us they're on a program.
Right,
and
but
that's what causes us to
maybe the
have
ones that are
problems.
getting helped could wait before the ones that need it worse, you know what I mean? If they're coming here and they're saying, I'm on the list, and I've been on the list for 3 years, but a guy that got help 2 years ago, and his house wasn't as bad as this house. I know it's hard because you gotta have somebody that's going out there and say, oh, your house is worse than yours, we'll fix yours first. You know, they're not the people aren't coming to us.
Right, right. Well, I can tell you this, Mr. Sykes and I have talked about creating a pilot program whereby the officers who are going out, doing the citations, they know about our program. So we're going to create this program where he does a door hanger first. Say, hey, contact redevelopment department, they have money available. Before, the citation is issued. Yeah.
The problem with that is that it may not be a problem, but usually what happens when you put door hangers, you can apply. Everybody that comes in here is going to say, I've applied, please give me the next 6 months to see, because of the bureaucratic paperwork, to even find out if they're going to qualify. So we're going to come to a dead end.
Right, because they might not qualify.
And we may not, they may qualify, but we may not have any money.
Yeah.
Or when you come up on the list, because we got a long list and you're going to be waiting forever.
The purpose of the grant is not to keep us a program that they've taught, maybe at the start of maybe an end to this problem for us, at least at the start.
And also, with that program, those cases, even though they have notice of violation, if they contact the office, you won't see those cases because they would have contacted him. They would verify.
And why is Larry here?
No, it's the pilot program. We haven't instituted it yet. So, but that would help.
I have no problem if you want to extend, the city wants to extend somebody's, ability to fix their house.
Right.
Just don't keep bringing it here and then telling us we can't do anything.
Well, I see the issue going even further than that, is the longer we wait, especially if there's a roofing and structural issue.
Another storm comes.
Or the longer we wait to rehab these places or re-roof, the worse and more expensive the problem's going to be. Which is when Ms. Roby starts talking about, priorities, I know that would be really difficult to establish. Nonetheless, in the long run, it might be better to do to either save some of the properties or, because that is the ultimate goal, is to save properties.
Right, right.
Make sure people are able to live in the houses that can't afford to, and then, you're gonna certainly get resistance from parts of the community that don't want anybody to spend anything on, they don't have insurance, they don't have this, they don't have that, you'll hear that argument too. I kind of have a broader perspective than that, and that we're trying to make the city a better place to live and to not lose houses.
Well, we want compliance just as well as what you all are doing.
That's the only way you can
Right,
make the city.
but we also want the neighborhood to be cleaned up too as well. So we want to know those individuals who have been cited are at your point, but we can't make them apply. But if there are people on the list that have come before you, I don't care if it's 25, 50, or whatever the number is, we can let this board know where they sit on our list.
Wonderful.
That's just a matter of going through our database, our Excel spreadsheet, and say, okay, we got a cold case on this number. Where do they sit in our list of people? Yeah.
Okay.
So that gives you a better idea when they're going to come up.
Okay. I mean, that seems like, but then we do have these other NACADACA, other fun things, I can't even remember, there must be, half a dozen different programs.
Yeah, but they're not free.
None of them are?
Some of them, but the majority you have to, there's a PACE program that the state offers, but that is a loan plus a grant.
Okay.
So.
But what we need to be aware of on the board, and I don't know that you can do anything about this, but what we need to be aware of on the board is what those programs are,
Okay.
what's required of people, so that if somebody comes here and says, I've got my paperwork here from NACA, we know what that is, and we can have a better idea then of how to rule on the case. I don't know that not bringing any of these cases before the board is a good idea either, because the houses just sit and rot. That's all it means. We can't do that.
Sit and rot, whether you bring them or you don't.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you a little bit, when it comes here, we can push it somewhere.
Right.
It does, that person's just not out there
Right.
spending space.
Right. Yeah.
And
That's
we're doing something.
And here-
Up until this gentleman showed up, I
Mhm.
didn't think we were going anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. And here's another idea too, is that, of course, it would take action by the city manager and certainly the city commission, is that sometimes we could create, other agencies and cities and counties, they create an emergency fund.
Right.
So if you're here and you're, ongoing problem in the community, because people in the community really are like, we should do something about these properties. I'll have to talk to staff to see if there is a possibility of having an emergency fund where we can arbitrarily take someone from this board and get the place sort of in livable conditions and keep on, so we don't continue this fining people, because I don't know if we'll ever get the money that we fine people. But what we want is compliance, and we want the community to not have to continue to make these phone calls.
Compliance is the goal, so we
Yeah.
save our housing.
Okay, so we'll look at ways, and we'll work with Mr. Sykes and his
Finding
team.
is never the goal. Finding's the last
Right.
thing that we want.
Right.
We want to save the housing
Mhm.
supply.
But as Denzel said, we don't want the people who are eligible for services to be here. We want to prevent them from being here.
Right, but that was.
Sometimes they start here before they know they're eligible for service.
Yeah,
That's right.
you're right.
So you were asking the question before of how we address cases that start here, and now they're on the list, and they may be on that list for the next 2 to 3 years in terms of time period. And is there some time period that may be our reasonable consideration? How long does it take generally to determine whether they truly meet the minimum guidelines? Does that take several
Yeah.
months, or does it take several weeks?
It would take 4 weeks. To answer the question, it takes at least 4 weeks, because you're asking, you have I can give you the criteria right here in front of you, but you have to produce the documentation.
Right.
That means income statements, whatever funding that you have, how many people in the households, just basic information. And sometimes it takes the applicant a whole month to get that information to us.
It would be nice if we could get part of the fines dedicated to this program.
That's
Mhm.
always been a consideration
Yeah.
in my mind, is that the fines that we collect
Mhm.
from code enforcement goes right there.
To help the people to rehab their homes, right?
Have their houses or
Yep.
businesses or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Somebody actually goes out to these addresses too and see what they need, or they just go on the paper that's.
Oh, no, we have to send an inspector out, and he does a work write-up, and that inspector says, well, this is what needs to be done, and this is how much it's gonna cost, and we put out an RFP, and we have people to bid on it, we select the lowest bidder, then we go to work.
But does that happen on the front end, or does that happen when the funds are available, when they're actually at that stage?
When their name comes up in the application, when they provided all the documentation, you sit on the waiting list, your name comes up next, then we start sending someone out to verify that this is what if you're number 5 on the list, we're not waiting until you're right there, it's time for you to go. We'll go out and do inspections on 5 houses.
140, we may not have.
Yeah, 140 we may not, right, yeah.
I'm just concerned of where this Mr. Sanders sits, you know?
Well, yeah, we'll
And
give
he's
you
still
some,
living in his house.
Right.
And I asked
It's
him-
getting worse.
Yeah, but I mean, how far does it have to get before he can't live there anymore?
Right.
Well, I'll work with Denzel and see if he's applied.
I mean, it would be wonderful if you guys could work together and do some kind of pilot program so that we'd be better informed and then so we could save more houses. You know, the idea of using fine money, you know, I've always thought that it should go back to the code department,
Oh, yeah,
not into
yeah.
the general fund.
Because I did ask Captain Lee, and it goes back into the general.
It does go
fund.
into general.
But they should set something up that goes back to
Right.
code for you to.
Right, for
Yeah.
either you to do or to deflect the expenses of code or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it just seems to me throwing it back in the pot of the general fund. Kind of, I don't know.
You mentioned something about have they applied. Well, I don't feel they should be able to come up here and enter into evidence that they've applied when they haven't. That's up to the code board officer to verify.
Right.
And that's part of your pilot program.
Yeah, that would be part of the pilot, to make sure.
Because under oath or no under oath, some people don't even know what they've applied for.
Yeah,
quite frankly.
yeah.
And I just don't want to accept into evidence without any documentation that the officer doesn't have that they've actually applied.
Yeah. And that information is readily available in our office.
Is it available for the code officers to check?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So is all the stuff online?
We don't put it online as in-house.
Okay.
But if we got an email or a phone call, we go right to that spreadsheet and we put that name in and that spreadsheet will shoot it out.
You should tell the code officers that when they get somebody that says I'm on the list, they could go in that list and check and make sure.
Right.
Yeah, but sometimes, then I know there's another list.
Right.
Which is the list wait to get on the official list.
Yeah, so we're eliminating all of that.
Right.
We're having one list. Yeah, we're not doing that. Yeah, we got one list. And that's why when I tell you, you're just waiting there and essentially when we get to you, we determine that, oh, you're not income eligible.
Okay.
You know, so that's what we're doing now.
But then the other side of this is, it seems to me now, after listening to you, that the city has no determination. If there are other programs that are statewide, you don't have any control over that.
No, but what I'm going to do by listening to what you're all saying today is that we're going to have staff to come up with those documents, those lists, so that you'll have it here.
Right.
As part of your booklet that you bring with you.
Excellent.
So you'll know what these programs are.
Really excellent.
Okay. Yep.
We did have a lady that was on the list for a roof, and she went and replaced the roof herself because I guess she was really not able to apply. Figured she better went to get off our list.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Really, thank you. That was
No, thank you all.
I think if we get this,
List down.
well, the list, but
Yeah.
the resources are important.
Yes.
Really
Yes.
important.
In
Yes.
terms of our own
Using-
training as a board, I think next time we have a training session, we need to get up to date on the, not only your programs, but anything that somebody might present to us, at least have some knowledge of what it is. We don't have
Well, we have somebody in our office who's very knowledgeable all of the programs.
maybe they could participate in that training.
Yeah, she would be welcome to do so. All right.
We did the last time, it's been.
Was it Rose?
Couple of years. No, we had,
Was it Rose?
No,
Oh, no, I remember.
Paula Reed?
no,
I'm sorry, Paula, yes.
Long.
Long, Paula Long,
But
yes.
that was, what, 2 years, maybe?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It's been-
2 years ago. It's been a long time.
But all
I think it was
all I got
pre-pandemic,
out of
if I
it
remember.
is
Oh, okay.
you ought to give us some money and we pay, and the contractors charge too much.
Right,
That's
and
all I got out of it.
also, are
She
you
was having
having
a hard time finding contractors.
contract, that was the issue then, is that they
Yeah.
couldn't get contractors to do it
Yeah.
for whatever reason, and it wasn't it was before
It was
COVID.
pre-COVID,
Yeah.
so now we have supply, we have a lot more
Right,
issues.
there were
Yeah.
no supply issues, there were, nothing was really going on, but still, they couldn't find contractors, so I think that's something else that we could.
Well, there's still a little bit of that lingering.
Zero in on is having a list of contractors that would be willing to do the amount of work for the amount that the city is offering.
Well, we're working on that.
Okay.
Yep.
And point well taken as far as, and ideally, I don't know if we have all our numbers yet, I think we're still running short on the numbers,
Yeah, we are.
But ideally, at some point, me and the board attorney could get together and try and schedule another workshop.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can do
It
that,
has
but we
been
need
some
to
time,
wait
and
till
we-
everybody,
I don't know if
so
Ms.
I
Marshall
think we
said
need
yes.
just one more person, unless there are people that are going to retire.
Or haven't got their re-up,
Notification?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll plan on getting with either Mr. Sino or Ms. Ritchie or someone, at some point within the next couple of months, we can see if we can put something together.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, thank you for your time.
All right. Say hello to Libby. I'll go.
All right, so meeting adjourned?
There's a lot that goes into serving